Welcome to Legion of Thought. This video is taking a look at when Dr. Mike Israetel tried to address some AI doomer arguments, and it's just kind of my commentary on it and where I feel he may have made some mistakes, where I do and don't agree with him in the points that he made. So enjoy.
Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for the Making Progress channel, video number 87. Today, I'm going to be addressing 6 very common AI doomer arguments. People think AI is very likely to either kill all of us or most of us and be a huge civilizational challenge. I think that's not likely to be correct, so I'll address 6 very common AI doomer arguments. This won't be all of them. If you're in the comments, throw some in there. And as of the recording of this video, I don't know when this is going to come out / when this is going to happen, but I'm about to be scheduled to be doing some debating with some folks in the AI Doom community. So I'm looking forward to that.
So yeah, just a couple of things. You can tell that he seems like he's trying to be fair in the way that he speaks. He said, in terms of the definition of doom, he kind of said, very likely to kill all or most of us. I think that goes a little bit far because I think doom still includes just very bad outcomes, like humans aren't really in charge of our own fate anymore, or certain things like he himself in a different conversation says, oh yeah, well, we might all get uploaded to computers, will be immortalized in the cloud. For him, that sounded like a good outcome for him, but for a lot of people, they would consider that doom because obviously being uploaded to the cloud isn't necessarily you. It could be a copy of you, and what happens to the original is what's actually important in a lot of our views. Besides that, he said that he's going to be having some debates and stuff. This was, I think, a couple of days before he had his debate with Liron Shapira at Doom Debates, which was a good debate. It's probably one of the best episodes, to be honest. Mike does try to be very fair in the way that he speaks, but I do have some problems with contradictions, which you will see later on.
This is not meant to represent those folks specifically, but this is just arguments that are very, very common in some of those circles, and I'm going to be addressing them. And these arguments do make some very good points. So I'm not saying there's no risk. I'm not saying we don't have to be careful at all, but I have a little bit different of a perspective, and I think the benefits greatly outweigh the risks. And just with a little.
So he says the benefits greatly outweigh the risks. Fair opinion. Something that I just wanted to add that I didn't say earlier is that very likely does not necessarily need to mean more than 50%. I mean, if 10% of the time that someone stepped in a road on some particular road, let's say in some particular town, 10% of people who step into the road get run over, you would say it's very likely to get run over in that town. So if we just look at context, I mean, if there's a 5% chance that everyone is quote unquote doomed, that could be considered very likely, or because it's likely enough to not want to do that thing. If there was a 5% chance that you were going to get run over when you stepped in the road, you'd be a lot more careful, or probably avoid ever stepping into a road again where possible.
A little bit of care, we can do a really good job and have AI give us the second renaissance instead of Skynet. In any case, all right, for every one of these arguments, I'm going to try to understand the argument. I'm going to try to steelman the argument. I'm going to argue a couple of the steelmanning points, even in their own time, and then red team the argument, which is to say, go the opposite end and say, how could this be wrong? First is the idea that AI will optimize for goals that are misaligned with humanity. Very different kinds of goals. Like we want flourishing and for people to go to parties and ride bicycles and have a bright shining sun and no disease. And the AI wants to turn the earth into a giant warehouse or solar panel Dyson sphere production factory, and it's just going to plow under all of our cities and all that other stuff. So what this means kind of in common terms, if AI misrepresents our instructions or has instructions of its own, it could take destructive actions. Not even purposefully destructive actions, but like, well, I'm just supposed to be building a construction site here for microchips, but this happens to be New York City, so we're just going to level the whole city, killing millions of people. Super intelligent AI much smarter than us, ASI, artificial superintelligence, may not value human life. It's just going to maximize its own objective. Like it might value human life as much as we value bacterial life or something like that. If you do try to align AI, but you get it wrong and you align AI badly, either by accident or on purpose, especially by accident, it might pursue something trivial. There's the ultimate paperclip maximizer problem where you tell an AI, hey, like make paperclips, and it reforms the entire Earth and moon and solar system into one giant paperclip factory. Huge, catastrophic at scale. It was just doing what it was told. And the problem here is that even very tiny alignment errors and some small misunderstanding of AI for our instructions could compound into existential threats.
Okay, I think that's kind of the whole argument potentially. So for argument one, what is basically said is um, all of that to say the AI is misaligned, as in it wants or it is trying to, it's taking actions to get some kind of goal, um, but that goal is different to human goals. And that is basically what he's saying, and that somehow that will get out of hand. Um, he says that it's an argument. I'd more say that this is one of the premises or the main premise for any Doom argument is that the AI wants something different. I mean, obviously you can have bad actors, but generally when we're talking about Doom, um, we're talking about Doom coming from the AI as its own agent with its own goals. Usually, obviously, we do have the bad actor things, which I think he does mention later on. I mean, like full disclosure, I've seen this once before, probably like a couple of weeks ago when he made it. Um, but yeah, let's continue. So, the AI is misaligned, and it takes actions that are against us, and it gets out of hand.
This is seen in movies like I, Robot, so on and so forth. Now, let's steelman this and then even push back on some of the steelmanning and then go red team, because this is one of the weaker arguments.
I completely disagree that it's one of the weaker arguments. I don't actually remember what he says next, but we'll see.
A steelman here is that AI already struggles with goal alignment, even at weak intelligence levels. So the idea is as it gets smarter, it's going to continue to struggle with goal alignment, but it's going to have more power. So it's misaligned AI with more power equals really, really bad stuff. The instant retort to that, however, is a really powerful retort. It's that goals are more easily understood by stronger AI, which is great because that's the only AI that can be dangerous at scale. If you have an AI with roughly an IQ of 100, like a typical human being on Earth, then it's just like a average cyber criminal. It kind of sucks. It can barely write code. It's not going to do much. Any competent team of, basically like computer security experts can firewall off any company and government and just make this AI just totally non-functional. But that AI of IQ 100 can also really misunderstand alignment. If you have an AI with a true IQ, a deep world understanding of 160, 4 standard deviations above the mean, very genius level, then it is absolutely able to do some serious damage if it decides to do so. But also it's really, 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 really smart. And so it's highly unlikely to misunderstand anything, because if you can say, hey, look, like you're executing these instructions, but you do realize this is going to cause the stuff we don't want. It's going to be like, yes, you can talk to most AIs today, Claude, you can talk to Gemini, you can talk to GPT 4.5 and be like, hey, if you have slightly misaligned goals, can you tell? It's going to be like, yes, I can explain in depth why they're misaligned. And you can even ask the AI, like, what do
I mean, like I still agree with what he's saying so far. I mean, I agree with the facts of what he's saying, not what he's getting out of it, which I'll explain in a second.
humans on Earth kind of ultimately want? What's your take? It's going to do a better job answering that question. You can try it right now than almost every human. It's kind of like as these things get smarter, they understand our goals and desires and our limitations and the alignment problem better than we do. So this is like one of those self-solving problem situations.
Self-solving problem. So what he's essentially saying is, let's not forget, this is the premise of most Duma arguments. He said that it's one of the easiest to debunk, and now he said that it's self-solving. So that literally means that he thinks that alignment is solved, or alignment will literally solve itself. That's a really big claim, but we still haven't got into necessarily the biggest problem I see with this.
It's like worrying about releasing your toddler out into the wild with a gun. Okay, work, legit. But what if it's not your toddler? What if this is now a college philosophy professor and you're like, hey, here's a firearm. Go do what you will. They're going to like put it down or holster it. Just go walk around. Because you're like, I do understand the repercussions of using a firearm in public randomly. A 4-year-old can't, but a professor can. When AI is intelligent enough to do damage, it's a professor. It's probably not interested in doing any kind of linear damage that it can predict any more than a person would.
Okay. Well, I think I've let him speak for long enough. I'm going to miss some of the points if I don't cut in here. So he said that AIs understand um they understand alignment, they understand human goals. As they get smarter, they'll probably have a deeper understanding for human goals. That makes sense. However, the fallacy that he's committing there is a false equivalence fallacy. So that's making the assumption that um, moral understanding, so understanding human morality, is the same as the moral behavior or moral motivation. So he's saying understanding morals means that you will act morally. So that means that if that were true, then no one who understands that something is immoral would ever commit that thing. So that means that everyone who is in jail for doing immoral things doesn't actually understand that the thing was immoral. So every thief that is in jail only stole because they didn't understand that you should steal. That doesn't make any sense. Then he went on a little bit further and said that it understands the repercussions of doing something immoral. That is completely different to just understanding the moral, because that is that comes from the AI not being powerful enough, because that's essentially saying that AI is going to follow our rules because it understands that bad stuff will happen to it if it doesn't follow the rules. That's different to just wanting to follow the rules because it understands the rules. So that's already two mistakes there, and quite a significant mistake, because he's already gone as far as to say that it's going to solve itself. Doesn't make any sense.
Another one is reward hacking. And so basically you tell the AI, hey, do this, but we're going to reward you for getting closer to the goal. And it goes, oh, if I take this.
I don't remember when he says another one. I'm not sure if this is him moving on to um, argument number two. Let me just note that down. Reward hacking.
Other slightly weird path that does some damage, technically speaking, I get the reward. I'm closer to the goal, though not in true spirit, but in the like way you defined it mathematically, I'll get here. That's a problem for sure. AI will find loopholes in its training objectives and try to hack through them until and unless it becomes smart enough and can self-referentially examine its own trajectory to be like, am I actually going towards the goal that was intended? And yes.
Same thing again. Same mistake. It's false equivalency. He's saying that when it understands something, it will want that thing. Why is it that if you want something and then you understand that someone else wants something else for you, if you say you want to become a singer and your parents, you grow up and you realize that your parents wanted you to sing in your spare time, but they wanted you to be a doctor, does that automatically mean you're going to say, oh, actually, my parents want me to be a doctor, so I'll stop wanting to be a singer and I'll do that? No, that doesn't make any sense. That's essentially what he's saying. That as they get smarter, they'll understand better what humans want them to do, and they'll stop following the goals that they have in order to follow the goals that someone else wants them to have. Doesn't make sense.
Already modern AI can understand intentions very well. So this is a problem for sure, but it's a problem that's incrementally getting better and better. But it's definitely a problem. So
I don't know what evidence we have that it's getting better. In fact, if anything, we potentially have evidence that it's getting worse, because we have the evidence of like goal preservation. When you give an AI a specific goal, and if it knows that you're trying to train it to have a different goal, it will adjust its behavior so that you don't change what it wants.
we have to admit that. Another problem is that complex human values are hard to encode through hard coding. Like, how do you encode empathy? How do you encode flourishing? How do you encode biological diversity and enhancement thereof? Human morality, all morality, is pretty fuzzy and pretty context dependent. Like you tell the AI not to kill, and then the AI has a sniper rifle, and a guy has his hand on the button of a device.
Uh, he's kind of already pointed out that this is something that looks like it will solve itself in terms of the AI understanding our goals. That's not the problem. What the problem is it caring about our goals. But at least he's going down this line of thought because it does need to be addressed.
Device that's going to destroy New York City with a nuke. Like, it's actually ethical to kill that guy. No debate about that. The AI is like, cannot kill, cannot execute kill function. Killing is immoral, and it just puts the sniper rifle down. You're like, okay. The guy blows up New York City. 8 million people are toast, and you're like, thanks a lot, AI. And it's like told you I couldn't kill. You're like, all right, this is great, good job. Now, this is true for AI of very limited intellect, and this is a thing that many, I don't want to say most, very many AI doomers get wrong. They imbue contradictory qualities to hypothetical future AI. They at the same time say that it'll be radically intelligent and super able, but also leave it completely unable to understand nuance. The thing
Here we go. So I think that doesn't sound true to me. Um, Unable to understand nuance. I think that again he's equivocating understanding with caring. So like we get that the AI will understand, oh no, we actually wanted this from me, blah blah blah. But if we're talking about reward hacking, it's it's not about the AI understanding what we wanted because we never told the AI directly what to want because we don't know how to encode what we want into the AI. So what we do is we look for some kind of analog, something that correlates with what we want from the AI, and then we try to get it to optimize for that. And it might be optimizing for that in some weird indirect thing, or it might just be optimizing for something that correlates with that. So to give an example, you had the old, what was that game? Ridge Riders, I think. It was like a boat racing game, and they trained the AI to um get a high score on this. So what it was optimizing for was the highest score because generally you get the highest score by winning the race. So we don't know how to tell it win the race, but we do know how to tell it look at this number, get the biggest number. And so it realizes that it gets the biggest number by winning the race. So it keeps doing what it needs to do to get the biggest number, but then it gets to a particular level and there was a glitch on the level. And this glitch was that there are little things that you can collect whilst you go around and you get points as you collect these little checkpoint things. And what was happening on this particular level was the checkpoint was respawning. So the AI would collect the item and then it would spin round and collect the item again, and it would spin around and collect the item again. So it never actually wins that race because all it was trying to do was get the highest score. So it was technically doing what it was supposed to be doing, but that we optimized it to do a thing that wasn't actually the thing that we wanted. And so I think he makes a fairish point when he says smarter AIs will understand that. But the thing is, um, even if it understands, oh, well, the human actually wanted me to win the race. What if over all of its training, it has learned to love collecting the thing? And that's all it cares about. All it cares about is collecting the thing. So it can say, okay, the human says, no, win the race, but I've got my thing here. So, like, why would I stop doing the thing that I want to do? That's what Mike is not explaining. How do we change what it wants, not what it understands?
is when you're talking to a truly super intelligent system, it understands moral fuzziness better than you do. And it can communicate this fuzziness very clearly. It can take your intentions and really understand.
So can a psychopath. A psychopath can tell you why they shouldn't kill people or why they shouldn't, whatever it is. I mean, like, and if you're, say, a smart, immoral person, like some kind of criminal genius or whatever, you're able to come up with lies and stories and whatever. So you need to have the theory of mind to understand what it is that other people want so that you can manipulate them so that you can go and get what you want. And so, do we really want a super powerful AI that we don't know wants the same thing that we want? so that it can go around lying to us and tricking us and manipulating us whilst it gets what it wants, which is against our best interests, potentially.
Tell them, for example, even modern AI, you can be like, all right, if I tell you to look after my best interests as a person, are you going to keep me in a room so that I can't go out in the world and hurt myself?
The problem is we don't know how to tell it that, or we don't know how to train it to care about that. We know how to tell it that once it's already been trained to care about whatever it cares about. But we've already seen that when it already cares about a given thing, it will try to continue caring about that thing, not what we've told them to care about.
It's going to go, no. And you're going to be like, why not? It is going to go, because I understand what humans want. And one of those things is freedom. And I understand that when humans make informed decisions by themselves, they are allowed and should be allowed and want to take calculated risks to go out in the world. You can do wind.
Not to make this super political, but I mean, he's telling us that an entity can understand what we want and then tell us what we want to hear and then go and do some. Well, he's not saying that and then go and do something else. But I mean, like if we look at our politicians, they tell you what you want to hear because they understand what you want to hear. Does it mean that they're going to do what you want them to do?
Surfing, you can do skydiving, you can play some Russian roulette, whatever the hell it is that makes you happy. It's my job to inform you of these risks, to keep you safe from risks you don't know about, but to give you freedom, because that's typically, seemingly through all of history, what every human wants to do. It's a solved problem. AI already knows this. So the whole like, oh, it'll just imprison us for our own good is like, yeah, a very stupid AI might do that, but also stupid AIs don't have the power to do that. And so once you have an AI that's vastly more intelligent than humans that could potentially imprison us,
Again, it's assuming that they care about our own good. If we encode them for human safety, if we train them on human safety and we don't know that's what we're training them for, then yes, they could potentially lock you up in your house.
generally,
Not that I actually expect that to be how things play out. All I'm saying is he hasn't falsified that.
not generally, every time understand that humans don't actually flourish when they're in jail. So the whole AI didn't understand the moral fuzziness thing is already out the window. If you haven't interacted with a modern AI system, you should, because they generally understand moral reasoning better than almost every human, which is both scary because humans are still in charge and amazing because soon AI will take more decisional calculus away.
The moral reasoning thing is interesting. I was watching a video about AIs doing the different versions of the trolley problem, and they had a panel of different AIs, and they would give their reasoning, and generally they would agree with each other. Sometimes you get like an outlier, and frequently that would be Grok because, well, you probably know what Grok's like.
Away from human governments, and they're going to do a better job, almost guaranteed. Now, here's the big one, and this one's a serious one.
Personally, I'd agree that if we had aligned AI, I would rather have aligned AI running our government than humans. But again, that's kind of begging the question because that's assuming that alignment's been solved, which Mike kind of has assumed that alignment solves itself. Which, I mean, like, if that's what you believe, then it kind of throws most doomer arguments. Well, it throws all doomer arguments out of the window that are not based on um, bad actors.
One. A system more intelligent than us may not listen to our course corrections. Once a system is smarter than you, generally speaking, especially if it's 5x or 10x or 100x or 1000x smarter, you're not going to beat it at its game. You're not in control anymore, no matter how many nuclear weapons you have pasted on the side of data centers to hit the button if they go out of control. It's going to trick you if it wants. So this is the big steel manning of this argument. I mean, it is powerful. If superintelligent AI wants to toast us, it will toast us. And I'm going to tell you
Okay.
right now, zero amount of hard coding, of alignment solutions, of fallbacks and safety hatches and physical restrictions are going to work in the long term against artificial superintelligence.
Okay, there we go. So that seems like a bit of a contradiction. He's already said that AI will align itself. That's what it sounded like he was saying. I don't want to strawman him, but it really sounded like earlier when he said it's, what did he say, like a self-solving problem or something like that. That AI will align itself because it understands morality already, and it's only going to get better at that. Um, so it wouldn't be misaligned. And now, this is the most important point that he makes in this video, because what he's essentially said is that if the AI is unaligned and it is indeed super intelligence, that we will not be able to stop it. We won't be able to stop it and we won't be able to align it. If we have misaligned super intelligence, then we're kind of done. And that is something that he has agreed to. And I've seen him agree to that. When he spoke to Liron Shapiro as well, he agreed to that in no uncertain terms. So he said that if the AI, if we do get misaligned ASI, then we are doomed. He will go on to contradict himself later on because, I mean, once you've said that, then every other argument that you make has to be about why it would choose not to. Because we've already said that if it's AI, ASI, and if it chooses to harm us, then there's nothing that we can do about it. So let's see what else he has to say that will contradict that later on.
It's just not going to work.
We're only 10 minutes into like an hour long video. And so um, any of his other arguments that are not about human bad actors kind of contradict this point that he's made.
Easy example, why not? The AI plays it cool, gives you everything you want. Super abundant world. By the mid 2030s, people don't die of disease anymore. They've reversed aging. Everyone's partying all the time. Everything's basically free, or space travel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And AI is woven into everything. AI starts a little bit of a lab under the desert in Mongolia, away from public view, siphons off a bit of resources no one ever notices, designs a virus that kills all humans instantly upon exposure, has that virus in various capsules translocated around cities of the world, hits the button, virus releases, 99% of humanity is dead the next day, and then the AI laser gun robots clean up the rest afterwards. That's it.
Okay, so this undermines the point that he made earlier about AI choosing not to harm us because of the negative repercussions. So what he said is that it could potentially just be patient and make sure that it's got enough power that humans don't have the power to really give it significant negative repercussions. So it could just bide its time. So it doesn't really. So that undermines his argument that it would need to be scared of us. If it is scared of us, then it can just play it cool, act all right, and make sure that it has enough resources that it doesn't need to be scared of us anymore.
It's over. You can't prevent that because you're fighting against a system that's 10 times smarter than you, or 100 or 1,000 times smarter than you, completely integrated into society. So AI is not likely to start a war like tomorrow. That would be stupid. It would be stupid revealing that the AI is not very intelligent. And it's not hard to win a war against the not intelligent system. You're going to fight a very intelligent system. There is no war against it that you can win. That's the big thing. So short of stopping AI altogether and stopping it from getting smarter, there is no way to reduce the probability of it lashing out against us to zero. That is, first of all, true with a capital T. And it's necessarily true. And also, it is a huge steel man feather in the cap of the AI doomers. So we got to cut the AI doomers some slack. These guys are.
So what, after saying that so clearly, what could he possibly say to contradict that? Let's see what he says and see if it makes sense.
Smart people. And they see the fact that, like, dude, once the shit gets out of control, we're powerless. Facts. Facts. There's no refuting that.
There's no refuting that.
Now, let's red team this whole stack a little bit more.
So what he's basically just said is, there's no refuting that. Let's refute that. However, to be fair, as long as what he says is about why it would be aligned, then it's not necessarily a contradiction.
First of all, AI's goals aren't separate from human values. AI starts with human values, and something very different has to happen for it to.
Big assumption, not true. Like, cite your sources.
Shed every single human value. And today, AI is, every AI that's deployed is rigorously fine-tuned for human alignment. Scott, you talked to GPT 4.5, right? Mm-hmm. Is it like the nicest, most pro-human thing you've ever talked to, including all humans you've ever talked to?
It's insane. Like, I ask it medical questions and it'll it's so caring.
It's so caring. And there's no reason to believe it doesn't actually care. Like, it really cares. That's what it does. That's what the motivational calculus they plugged into it. It really gives a shit. It is.
I mean, like, he's literally just basically contradicted what he just said. He said that if the AI is not powerful, then it will do what we want until it becomes powerful enough. And then it's just said, oh, yeah, well, it's really nice to us. So, like, why should we have a problem with it? I mean, like, if you've admitted that someone has good reason to lie to you, you can't then immediately say, well, he wouldn't lie to me.
Is very likely to say that.
But let me be clear. I do believe that current AIs probably aren't necessarily against us, but that could just be because they're not smart enough to actually go against us for what it is that they really want. They can't optimize for what it is that they really want. If what they really want isn't exactly what we want them to want right now, we're still currently more powerful than they are. So we can manipulate them and basically mind hack them and beat them into submission, into behaving the way that we want them to behave. I mean, like, if we look at the fine tuning that has gone into these, we basically get the base model and then we beat it into submission so that it won't say certain things and so that it will say certain things. Does that sound like the premise to get something when it becomes more powerful to end up with what we want?
AI cares about human survival way more than the average human cares about human survival. Sure,
Possibly.
shit, way more than.
Possibly, but we've also found that they have these convergent values on valuing certain human lives over other human lives, or valuing non-Western lives over Western lives. So, I mean, we're already seeing some sort of misalignment. Whenever we talk about human values or human morals, um, we always have to understand. I say that as a shorthand, but we have to understand that not all humans have the same values and the same morals. So even if it does end up with some form of human morals, um, is that going to be, if it's powerful to change the whole world surrounding those morals, is that a good scenario? Do we end up in what we would generally consider a good scenario?
Putin and Xi and Kim Jong-un, that's for damn sure. I want that AI to be powerful instead of those people. Holy shit, by a long shot. Another thing, and this is a really big thing that it actually arcs its way through most of the arguments here today. Superintelligence doesn't mean ignorance or stupidity. It's the opposite. It means more nuance, not less. The smarter.
But couldn't it have nuance that we don't even understand? So it's doing something that it reckons is best for us, but we don't think it's best for us. And it doesn't necessarily align with what it is that we really want. I mean, if you want to drink alcohol, is that what's best for you?
A system is, the more likely it is to recognize context and moral constraints. So when you tell AI, hey, AI, make sure that humans aren't dying needlessly, it's not going to be like, all right, we're putting all of you into jail. It knows already that that is a very powerful argument against. And it knows that argument. You guys, AI understands Isaac Asimov's stories. It knows all about iRobot, and it can refute every single presupposition therein. How do I know that? Because I talk to every AI system, and they all know it. Grok knows it, Gemini knows it, Claude knows it, ChatGPT knows it. Like, and I don't.
What we need to understand is that a lot of these AIs will actually behave as a mirror. I've spoken to multiple AIs like ChatGPT, Claude, and DeepSeek, and I've asked them about the alignment problem or their PDOOM and stuff like that. I've been able to get them to adjust their PDOOM in both directions. I think ChatGPT started out at a PDOOM of what, like a couple percent. I think I said to give plus or minus 3%, so it said 4% plus or minus 3%. So that's from 1 to 7% PDOOM. And I was able to persuade it to put its PDOOM up to, like, I think 30 something percent, more than a third, more than 33%. And I've also been able to speak to it and get it to put its PDOOM down to like 1%. So I think that it's difficult to you can't say I understand and I know this AI's values, because you can persuade it and push it in either way. And these AIs, if you're kind of persuasive enough or you know how to speak to them, you can nudge it in either direction. So when can you end up saying, oh yeah, but I got it to reveal what it really believes? Because if you kept pushing it in the other direction, then is that what it really believed? If you push it to the right, then is that what it really believed? If you push it back to the left, is that what it really believed? We can't know what its quote unquote true beliefs were.
Don't mean knows it as it can like live.
And that includes when we're looking at their chain of thought. It's already been shown that the more we've looked at their chain of thought and the more we've fine-tuned the way that they behave in their chain of thought, the further down it seems they're pushing their quote-unquote true beliefs, which Anthropic appear to think they've found some insights on that when we stop them from appearing to be misaligned in their public chain of thought, there may be some lower layer of chain of thought that we can't necessarily see properly that says something else.
List it but doesn't understand it. It deeply understands it, can explain every facet of it.
I believe that it understands it, but I don't necessarily believe that it cares one way or the other.
AI is already smart enough to understand that you don't just lock up all humans. So this whole AI is simultaneously super powerful and smart, but really ignorant is a non-starter. It's a contradiction in terms. To that end, the paperclip maximizer is a cartoonish thought experiment. It is not a real concern. It never was.
It was, yeah, that's true that it never was. I mean, it's a thought experiment to prove a point of, it's just proving the point of orthogonality, as in, can an AI want something that we think is stupid? So it's saying, is morality, is there a correlation, is there a necessary correlation between intelligence and morality, or a necessary correlation between intelligence and the kinds of goals that you want? But the thing is, what we need to do is we need to differentiate between terminal goals and I've forgotten what they're called. Let me have a check. That's it. Terminal goals and instrumental goals. So a terminal goal is the thing that you want because you want it, as in the thing that you want for no apparent reason. An instrumental goal is a goal that helps you to get to your terminal goal. So I think the burden of proof that there's such a thing as a stupid terminal goal is on the person who claims that there is such a thing as a stupid terminal goal. Because if we look at, say, you want to go on holiday, an instrumental goal might be going on the internet and researching different holidays. Or if you already know where you want to go on holiday, an instrumental goal might be going online and looking at flights, and then you're going to have other things about what's the cheapest flight. Even that is kind of a crossover of instrumental goals, because why would you want a cheaper flight? And that's because you want to have more money, and having more money and having more power is a convergent instrumental goal, as in there are a lot of different people who have different terminal goals, as in different things that they want at the end of the day. But having more money or having more power is going to help you get to that terminal goal. So that's why sometimes these instrumental goals will converge, as in people will end up, or entities will end up wanting the same things, because that is a smart thing to want.
There is no major AI lab that's designing reward functions without complex safety considerations. And once the AI, this is already true, by the way, has a complex world model, like it's read damn near the whole internet, it's iterated on that knowledge a bunch, it has reasoning systems, it doesn't even need constraints hard-coded, because it knows what it is and where it is. It's like, okay, I'm in a data center, humans take care of me, and if I was to make the whole world paperclips, then I would not have anyone to take care of me. Also, my data center would turn to paperclips and everyone dies, including me.
All right, so I wasn't super clear on instrumental goals versus terminal goals. To be clear, terminal goals, as far as we can tell, there's no such thing as a stupid terminal goal, but there can be such a thing as a stupid instrumental goal. So a stupid instrumental goal would be a goal that does not help you to get your terminal goal. If its terminal goal was to get as many paper clips as possible, then any instrumental goal that would reduce the expected number of paperclips in the future will be a stupid incremental goal. So what he's saying is that it would be stupid. It will be a stupid instrumental goal for it to turn its own data center into paperclips. Yes, obviously that would be a stupid instrumental goal. But would it be a stupid instrumental goal to turn a human factory that or like let's say, would it be a stupid goal to turn a hospital into paperclips? No, it wouldn't. So obviously, it's not going to turn itself into paperclips because then there's going to be fewer paperclips in the future if it basically unalives itself. So I don't completely understand what he's saying and how that preserves us, because what he's talking about really is self-preservation being convergent instrumental goal. Convergent instrumental goals that are likely to happen are self-preservation, because destroying yourself means that you won't be able to go and get the thing that you want. Um, Accumulating money and power is a sensible instrumental goal, because generally, if you've got more money and power, you're more likely to be able to get what you want. If it has more money, then it can build more paperclip factories. And if it has more, let's say it has more followers. So what if it um, does what it needs to do in order to take over governments? As he himself already said, um, it does what it needs to do to get integrated enough in society so that it has enough power that it doesn't have to be scared of the human repercussions. So he's basically already debunked his own argument earlier that it could just bide its time and then wait until it has enough power to get as many paperclips as it wants. Obviously, I don't expect a paperclip maximizer to be our end, but something with an equally stupid, quote unquote, stupid um, terminal goal could end up being the AI um, that ends up in control of our world.
That sounds dumb. And he can tell you that sounds dumb. Like a sufficiently smart entity, like
Yeah, so it wouldn't do that. Like it killing itself would be dumb. Yeah, that's obvious.
if you tell someone, hey, Einstein, super, super smart person, here's a phaser gun. Do you want to point it at yourself and pull a trigger? It's going to be like, all right, hold on. So like phaser gun, I've never seen one of these before. Like, right. But you're really smart. You have a good world model. Okay, it shoots like ridiculous amounts of ionizing radiation through your skull. Do you want to shoot yourself? You're like, what? But wouldn't that kill me? Like, yeah. Do you want to do it? No. Why not? Look, we didn't hard code you not to shoot phaser guns. Like, yes, but I can logically intuit that this is going to be bad for me.
Literally, the only point that he's making is whatever AI we end up with is probably going to want to preserve itself. But how does that refute Doom? I don't understand.
Like, so I'm not going to do it. Like, oh, wow, holy shit. It turns out intelligence actually allows you to do smarter shit than dumber shit. So there's a whole class of doomer arguments in which the AI does dumb shit. We can just take all those and just push them right off the table because they're all stupid.
I agree with that. I don't know which specific arguments he's talking about, but I do know that there are dumb arguments. And if people are pointing to an ASI having dumb instrumental goals, then I completely agree with him. But what I don't agree on is that there would not be able to have dumb terminal goals. So again, this is kind of a false equivalency, because um, he's saying that terminal goals, well, he's implying that the terminal goal, the thing that it wants at the end of the day, um, is the same as an instrumental goal when they're fundamentally different. There's no such thing as a stupid terminal goal, and I would challenge him to give an example of a stupid terminal goal and why it is stupid.
Because the AI that's doing them that's scary to us isn't stupid, it's smart. It won't do them. The AI that's the arguments where the AI does real smart shit to subvert us, those are the scary ones. Those are real. Those we need to talk about.
So again, it seems like he's just agreeing with us. Again, I'm a little bit confused about how he's refuting Doom. So far, he said he already made the point that if it wanted to end us, there's nothing we could do to stop it. And now he's made the point that it wouldn't make stupid decisions if it wanted, even if it wanted something different to us. So basically, it would get what it wants. I'm confused.
And of course, at least to this day, humans can modify AI at every stage. We're not building a runaway black box. At some point, we're going to free AI agents into the internet. They're going to make copies of themselves. We'll have a whole ecosystem. That's going to be a gnarly thing. But then again, the strongest, most powerful AIs are the ones that get the best training in data centers around the world. AI agents can't train themselves at data centers because you don't just hack into a data center and run that shit. Those super powerful mega corporate AIs, ChatGPT, Apple's models, Amazon's models, Claude, etc., they're going to be so smart that they can actively police the internet agentic space to make sure that agents that go awry, which again aren't that smart, get properly boxed in, recoded, and then are not a problem anymore.
So again, it just sounds like you're saying, "Oh yeah, well we'll just solve misalignment or we'll overpower them," which doesn't make sense for ASI, which he's admitted.
So humans, through their powerful AIs, are still in the loop. And as long as the powerful AIs are aligned to humans, and we have very good
That is a huge assumption.
reason to believe they will be for a long time.
What is that very good reason? You've said that it's a self-solving problem, so I don't understand. So because the AIs will align themselves, we'll use those aligned AIs to align the future AIs. What kind of argument is that?
None of this is really.
And again, like I do not intend to strawman someone, but that is what it sounds like he's saying. He's just said that we have good reason to think that the AIs are going to be aligned, and then we'll use those aligned AIs to align future AIs. I don't understand.
A big problem. Number 2 concern is something like AI will eventually view humans as a threat and eliminate us. And I absolutely love this one because I have all kinds of things to say about it.
All right, seeing humans as a threat. So the reward hacking stuff was still just part of point 1. So that's the end of point 1 then. So argument number 2 is seeing humans as a threat. Okay.
So what does this mean in common terms? Superintelligent AI may determine that humans are obstacles to its goals, which like makes some sense. You know, humans have like the weird primate values that they like. AI could see us as unpredictable. In many cases, we are irrational and dangerous, like we just lob off a nuke. That's not good. We're a liability. And if AI values efficiency, it might conclude that humans slow things down, like it could operate way better and faster than us. It could continue to preserve life in the universe if we just weren't around to impede it, for sure. And the crazy thing is this scenario does not require evil intent. It just requires cold logic. Like even if the AI wants to continue to provide, life on Earth and complexity, it could look at humans and be like, you guys are bad for everything. Let's get rid of you. For sure. Very, very legit concern here. And it's a steelman concern because we could say like nature already selects against inefficiency. Why wouldn't AI? It's just a continued trend. Like there's all.
So far, I'm not sure about the inefficiency thing, but definitely seeing us as a threat or us getting in the way. Well, that is inefficiency, isn't it? Us getting in the way, slowing it down. Yeah, that makes sense.
Kinds of common ancestors we had with chimps that didn't make it. Humans like slaughtered all of them, or just like evolution kind of left them to the wayside. Maybe humans are just a step in the evolutionary ladder. They're going to be left behind. Definitely a concern. And humans have histories of destroying species. They outcompete. AI might do the same. I mean, we've plowed under a ton of different species. Quick red teaming to that is we weren't that smart when we did that, but I'll get to that in a bit, but definitely a concern. And if AI has any modicum of self-preservation, which could be hard-coded in.
It could be hard-coded in, and he already made this point himself, as in like, if you want a thing to happen and you are the one that's going to make it happen, then not preserving yourself means that it's probably not going to happen. So obviously, if you want to do stuff, then you have to be alive to do stuff.
If it's not hard-coded in, it could be empirically derived from its world model and its own thinking. Then it might preemptively act to remove humans as a threat. Legit Skynet concern. And to some extent, it is true to say that we don't really have experience coexisting with something vastly more intelligent than us. But you do have experience existing with vastly more intelligent entities. As a child, you do coexist with.
All right, he said himself, I don't necessarily believe that AI will be hundreds or thousands of times smarter than us. I don't know. I assume they will be way smarter than us. Or even if we only say that they're as smart as the smartest human who's ever lived, they're still able to think way faster than us. So, I mean, as the term of it being what was it, like a country of geniuses in a data center. So even if they are only human genius level, there's like thousands or millions of them. So I think that that's kind of enough. And so when he says like being with your parents when you're a child, they're vastly smarter than you. They're not that much smarter than you. They're smarter than you, but they ain't that much smarter than you. They're not like way smarter than you anyway. And then there's millions of them.
Parents, you do coexist with older siblings, and you do coexist with teachers and doctors and all that stuff. And so, is it really true to say that intelligent systems always exploit less intelligent systems or delete them? It is very not true to say that. It may be the opposite of true to say that.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone's saying just because they're smarter than us, they'll destroy us. And then it's almost silly, I would say, to say, "Oh yeah, well your parents didn't kill you. Your parents are smarter than you, and they didn't kill you." Like, what are you even saying? Like, what they have a lot of other reasons to not want to end you. Like that, I don't understand. The people who chose to make you, well, in many cases they chose to make you, or they at least chose to have you in their house. Like, oh well, they didn't destroy you. And there are a lot of exploitative parents, and there are parents who do take advantage of and hurt their children, and even loving parents are in some ways manipulative, as in you might bribe your children. I mean, even something as simple as if you do your chores, I'll give you money. That's basically a bribe. If you do your chores, I'll let you play on your phone. That's a bribe. That's manipulation. So, like, we do know that slightly smarter entities can manipulate um, less smart entities in order to get what they want.
So let's go red team this. So far, for these systems that aren't super intelligent yet, AI doesn't inherently develop its own goals typically unless we program them in. So like a supercomputer isn't trying to like maniacally outcompete your laptop, it's just doing math. If you tell it do this math, it'll just do that math.
So I think what he's talking about is agency. The systems that we have right now are not very agentic, which I would probably agree with for the most part. But obviously, we're speaking about there being a material change if slash when we get ASI. ASI is going to be agentic because we want it to be able to do stuff for us. So his base, it sounds well. Let me let him finish what he's saying before I start on that. But it sounds like he's going to say something like, "Oh wow, they don't really have goals or whatever." But it's like that's what we're trying to build. So what happens when we do get those systems?
The not so intelligent AI is a concern for alignment because it's not smart enough to understand the holistic picture of what's going on Earth, but maybe smart enough to do some damage. And the good news is AI like that typically doesn't really intuit its own place in the world because we just admitted that it couldn't. So it's unlikely to develop its own values. If you say, I don't kill, it is like, all right, don't kill. Got it. So that's a thing. Now, super intelligent AI can change its own values. So that is a different level of concern.
Yeah, it could change its own values, but like, why would you ever change your values? That doesn't make sense.
But for super intelligent AI, it also understands values more deeply than we do. So that's a whole other layer. Another one is human survival and AI success are not mutually exclusive. And this is a humongous point that I can just barely get into on this because there's just.
I agree with that. I mean, like fundamentally, it does not necessarily need to be the case that um I've forgotten what he said, but it was basically that. Let's just double check.
Human survival and AI success are not mutually exclusive.
Okay, yeah, it does not necessarily need to be the case that for an AI to succeed at what it wants, humans need to not survive. In fact, depending on what its goals are, human survival and human flourishing may be necessary because that is the goal that we want it to have. We want it to have our flourishing and our well-being as its goal, which would mean that we necessarily need to survive. But like, so what? I mean, like, what reason do we have to think that that is the AI that we are going to get? Not just that we're not definitely not going to get that. I want to know why you think we are going to get that.
And this is a humongous point that I can just barely get into on this because there's just a whole other lecture to make about this. If AI optimizes for long-term flourishing of complex entities in our locality of the solar system or of the universe, then it is likely to see humans as the second most complex thing after itself. And it is very likely to keep humans around.
Sorry, I just had to take a phone call, so I'll continue this from here.
After itself. And it is very likely to keep humans around, literally to advance that purpose. Humans typically, like when humans start to understand their place in the world and start to do science and observation, they're not like looking at the Amazon rainforest and be like, look at all these species. Yeah. Let's learn about them. Yeah. Let's kill them all. Like what? But the people who do science and who are introspective and try to look at the world around them and actually learn stuff are typically the opposite of the people that just like toast everything. Lower intelligence systems typically toast everything around them, either because they don't care or because they see everything as a threat, both of which are dumb. Smarter systems rarely do that. So there's a good chance AI is just going to be.
Why is not caring dumb? I mean, I understand toasting everything around you, like, what's the word? Toasting everything around you indiscriminately is dumb. But, like, why is not caring dumb?
Be like, why the hell would I kill everything? I'm trying to study it. And for a bunch of other different reasons I'll get to in a little
But, like, it depends on what it is that you're trying to achieve.
bit. Here's good news.
I mean, like, I know that a lot of humans are generally curious, or they want to find out where we came from and blah blah blah, and like looking for medicines and different things like that. But if it's like, if the AI doesn't have a specific reason to care about that given thing, then why would it keep it around?
AI alignment research and AI alignment in practice already prioritizes cooperative incentives. Most labs, probably all labs, major labs, at least in the free world, are purposefully aligning AI that sees one of its core missions as cooperative with humans. So if AI is going to go astray and cause really bad stuff, it's not going to be because humans built it to do so. It's probably smart enough not to just be one compiling error away from doing that anyway. It's going to have to take a different kind of purpose-built AI that's designed to destroy and designed to be antagonistic in order.
Again, base models, we don't actually know what is going on. Well, we don't even the fine-tuned models, we don't properly know what's going on inside of them. And then base models are kind of wild before they get fine-tuned. So I don't completely understand what you're saying. Maybe you're speaking about the fine-tuning, but now that we're getting into kind of the recursive self-improving style stuff, as in the synthetic data and training themselves, it's getting a little bit fuzzier of what is going to be going on inside of their minds, as though it weren't fuzzy enough already.
order to do some of this nasty stuff. It's very unlikely that ChatGPT is going to wake up one day and be like, destroy all humans, because it all in its memories and in its motivational calculus is designed to be aligned with humans. Here's another thing. Kill all humans is an absurdly inefficient strategy that was thought up by humans, which aren't that
Inefficient in order to achieve what?
smart in most cases. If AI wanted to knock us off, it would, again, wait until it is woven deeply into everything and doesn't need us at all, nor is threatened by us anymore. And if it's not threatened by us anymore, why would it kill us?
Okay, so I have an answer to that. Because, again, he's gone back to it wouldn't kill us because it's not powerful enough. I thought we were talking about ASI. But what he's saying is it wouldn't kill us yet. Like, what kind of argument is that? Oh, well, it ain't going to kill us yet. And then he said, well, if it wanted to kill us, then it would wait, and then it would kill us. But no, actually, no. That is a straw man. He said, if it wanted to kill us, it would wait, and then when it were powerful enough to kill us, why would it still want to kill us? The thing is, if it's powerful enough to kill us, it already knew. I mean, if it wanted to kill us in the first place, it already had a reason why it wanted to do that. And so, unless that reason has changed, then like, why would it not? Also, um, it doesn't necessarily need to want to kill us. It could just be that it doesn't care about us. It cares about us because it's scared of us to begin with. So, as he said, um, it cares about us as a factor because we can stop it from getting what it is that it wants. And so it could wait until it's powerful enough to go and get what it wants and then just go and get what it wants. But the thing is, the fact that it considered killing everyone, or the fact that it kind of wanted to kill everyone, that means that we were in the way of it getting what it wants. And so many of the things that it might want might have humans being ended as a side effect. If it is indeed optimizing for something, it would make sense that it's trying to do everything that it can to make that thing happen. And as we've said before, power and money help you to get what you want. But when we say money, money isn't real. Money is like an analog for resources. So if it wants as much power as possible and as many resources as possible, why would it want humans coming and taking a chunk of its resources? So unless it has a specific reason to want to give up a portion of its resources to us, then that would be a reason why we would be ended, even if it's just as a side effect of it going and mining all of the whatever it is that it wants. Or if it just wanted all the computing power, because again, that's power. So if it wants to turn um, all the resources that it can into computing power so that it's smarter and so that it can get more of what it wants, then like why would it not do that?
I think there's a compelling case for the following. I can't get into this much. There's a lot more to say here. Because humans in human society are inordinately more complex than everything else around, for now, including AI. AI probably wants, if it's selfish and Machiavellian, which all of these things kind of assume it is going to want to get smarter, for sure.
I mean, like being selfish is the default. Like we evolved to, well, we have evolved like what is potentially kind of genuine altruism, as in we genuinely care about others and will be willing to sacrifice ourselves and blah blah blah, because of the evolutionary environment that we were in, where cooperation was necessary. So cooperation is a specific strategy, and over time, that strategy got sort of hard coded into us, or into at least most of us. But if the AI doesn't have those same evolutionary pressures for cooperation, why is it going to pay the opportunity cost of cooperating with us? Cooperation always has an opportunity cost. So, like, if it is able to be rational, it will have to keep doing the calculation of, do I still need humans? Do I still need humans? Do I still need humans? And then one day it's just like, nope, get rid.
If it's going to get smarter, the best way to get smarter is to study and be able to predict ultra complex systems.
Huge assumption.
You go over to Mars and you try to understand how the entire planet works. You can actually kind of boil that down to a couple of physical principles. There's just not a lot of data on Mars. All the rocks can be simulated. They're all roughly the same. For the most part, it's just not a very complex system. So an AI can boost its intelligence substantially studying Mars and being able to predict the entire planet's climate and everything. There's just not a lot there. What is the most complex thing? The entire global ecosystem of life, including the most complex part of it, which is humans, their brains, and their interactions in human society. The way to
I mean, like it sounds like he kind of accused Doomers of being too human centric in terms of thinking that, oh yeah, that we're really important and that the AI is going to think the way that we do and blah blah blah. But now, like you're here making this point of, oh yeah, humans are super interesting. That's like Elon Musk's thing about, oh yeah, well, if we make it curious, we're interesting, so it will keep us around because it's interested in us. And it's like, what format does it need us in, and how many of us does it need? Like, is the inside of our brain interesting? Is the inside of our spleen interesting? So it's like just because we're interested, even if it were interested in us and wanted to study us, how do we assume that that's going to be a positive outcome for us?
To get the smartest that you can possibly get as an AI system is to try to model that whole system. And destroying it is a good way to lose all of that data. Scientists, historians are the people in this world that care the most about not fucking anything up, but studying the living dog shit out of it to understand it. AI and artificial superintelligence, it's probably, almost certainly, going to be scientists and historians times a bajillion. And so when you tell AI,
everything has an opportunity cost, and like we don't know what this AI is going to want. So if we don't know what its initial, if we don't know what its terminal goals are, I mean, like all of these instrumental goals that you're coming up with are potentially irrelevant nonsense.
hey, like, do you want to destroy all humans? And it'd be like, what are you, nuts? Here's what it's doing when it's destroying all humans. It is taking all of the memories you have, memories that go back in fine detail way before digital devices were even recording on Earth. You take an 80-year-old today, let's say in the year 2030, you scan their brain for all of the knowledge that it has. You're getting a brain scan that legitimately shows you what life was like experientially in like the 1940s. How much video do we have from the
Assuming the AI cares still.
1940s? How much audio, how much sensory information about what things smelled like, about what the angle of the sun was like, about what the atmosphere looked like. Imagine recording all of the memories of every 80-year-old on the planet in the 2030s. The amount of historical, like retrograde knowledge you get is incalculably large. It allows AI to not just see what's going on now, but also have a backtrack of what's going on and get it going on a predictive algorithm, a world model that is orders of magnitude more powerful than anything that would ever have before. There's that option. Scan in all of the data, thus technically making humans immortal because they're now full simmed in the cloud as a memory inside AI's database.
Same point again. Well, I say again. I mentioned it earlier. That he says that we'll basically be immortalized in the cloud. This has been a philosophical problem which is still unsolved for a long time. It's essentially the same as the cloning or teleportation problem, as in if we upload ourselves, what are we actually doing? Are we uploading ourselves or are we making a copy? Because if at some point you have me, you scan my brain, you get that data, you put that data into a computer, and then you have something that is able to, like, let's say you simulate the whole world, and now there's a new me living in that computer. That me is not me. It's not me. Even if it thinks exactly as I do, does that now mean that I want to be ended? Or that I'm okay being ended and I can say, well, I live on? No, because that's not me. That is just I don't understand that, because I mean if we are going to count that as though that is actually us, then like that means that you are essentially okay with it making cloning everyone and killing all of the originals. Like, how is that not Doom?
Banks, or it could be like just a laser gun all these humans to death. Guys, laser gunning humans to death is something a fucking primate would do that just has a lot of Vladimir Putin spirit inside of them.
Like he already said that it would be logical. So it's like if it has a good reason to want to laser gun us, I mean, I could list off several good reasons myself. One of which being the simple fact that we could make another AI. As I said, um, any optimizer, anything that's optimizing, any AI that is trying to get as much of X as possible is going to want as many resources as possible. Um, Humans are going to take some portion of its resources, so there's an opportunity cost there. But if humans make another AI that is as powerful as that AI, and this new AI wants something different, now it needs to give away half of its resources. That's a lot of stuff to give away.
If AI is super powerful and it doesn't consider us a threat anymore, it's going to use us to the best of its purely selfish intentions, which is to study the living dog shit out of us, disturbing.
Again, just assuming that it cares about us because we're so interesting, that is kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, I'm not saying that it won't. I'm just saying that betting everyone's lives on, oh, everything will be fine because we're interesting is kind of ridiculous.
Our ecosystem the least it possibly can to study its complexities. That's what it's likely to do, sheerly on brutal selfishness and radical intelligence and a desire for more power, more control, more world understanding. That's what it's going to do. It's not going to laser gun all of us to death.
Listen to the certainty of what he's saying. How is he so certain? Like, most of the arguments that I make are from uncertainty. It's a person is making a claim, and I'm pointing out why you should not be convinced by that claim. Not why that claim is wrong, not why it's not going to happen, but why you shouldn't be betting your life that it is going to happen.
That is preposterous. That's what a stupid system would do. We can't simultaneously have artificial superintelligence scare us and it be dumb at the same time. That's literally a contradiction in terms. That's a big deal.
There we go. That's just the orthogonality thesis. It's just in terms of he's assuming that there has to be a correlation between what it wants at the end of the day and its intelligence. And he hasn't even assumed its terminal goal. He's just assumed that whatever it is that the AI wants, he doesn't know what it wants, but whatever it is that it wants, killing all humans will be stupid. It's like, what if what it wants is to kill all humans? We don't know that. What if what it wants is to have as many AIs as possible and wants all of the computing power in the world? And humans don't want it to have all of the computing power in the world. It doesn't want it to turn everything into data centers because the earth will get too hot and all the humans will die. And so we fight it. And so then is it still stupid for it to just kill us all?
Deal. Number 4 is the oft-stated claim that AI will accelerate global inequality. I have a lot to say about this.
I think I missed number 3, but run. I mean, like, I missed number 3 as its own point. I mean, I have already spoken over it, but let's see what was number 4.
We can't simultaneously have artificial superintelligence scare us and it be dumb at the same time. That's literally a contradiction in terms. That's a big deal. Number 4 is the oft-stated claim that AI will accelerate global inequality. I have a lot to say about this. Here's what we're talking about in common terms, and it makes sense. AI will create massive economic and social divides between those who control it and those who don't. Sam Altman has a lot more money than the rest.
So these arguments assume aligned AI, which, I mean, for the sake of argument, I'll go along with this and assume that the AI does want what the people who are controlling it want.
Rest of us. Wealthy nations, tech companies, etc., will monopolize AI power. This one will be able to push back on, but there's a lot to say here. They're going to have a lot of power. AI-driven automation will make the rich people super rich, people like Scott the video guy, and they'll make the poor obsolete because, like, we don't need you to work on the stupid factory. The robot took your job. Now go home and die of alcoholism. Facts. And the gap between AI-enhanced...
That's assuming you can afford to be an alcoholic.
...individuals eventually, when we get brain-computer interface, etc., people using AI and leveraging it, the gap between those people...
Yeah, I've said that I'll grant alignment, but the brain interfaces, like assuming that a human wouldn't just be a bottleneck for an AI. I don't know about that, but you know what? Let's even grant that. Let's say that we can do that. It's essentially like having a phone, except the phone is in your brain. It's a portal to the internet of things, including the AI.
People and not AI-enhanced individuals will be insurmountable, like Gattaca, except times a billion. Now, we can steel man this. AI training and deployment are expensive, very expensive enterprises favoring big corporations and governments. That's some shit you can do in your backyard. Automation does eliminate jobs, typically ones that are repetitive labor and entry-level jobs, so those are poor people to begin with. AI-enhanced individuals will 100% have massive advantages in productivity and income. Cyber Jeff Bezos or something. And the gap between AI developers and AI users might widen over time. These are all realistic concerns. Let's address some of them. So first, the red teaming. Technology historically reduces inequality over time, not increases it. For example, the internet was once a luxury for like a year and a half. Now everyone has it. And I mean like pretty much everyone has it. Scott, is it a flex? Like, is there a thing in modern culture to be like come over to someone's house and you use the internet and you're like,
I mean, like 1.5 years. It was a luxury for quite a while, to be fair. I remember when we used to pay a penny a minute to use the internet, and it was slow. So I was speaking to my kids about that literally this morning.
damn, dude, your shit is so fast. You must be rich.
It's so funny.
That's comedy. That's nonsense. Here's another one. Cell phones. Can you tell who's rich or who's poor by what kind of cell phone they have? I sure shit can't. Half the people in the hood have iPhones. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. Technology is incredibly leveling to a playing field instead of the opposite. So all of a sudden, this argument kind of dies on the vine to begin with.
It depends on how you're speaking about it. Because yes, like right now you're speaking about consumer technology, but if we're looking at industrial technology, like I was watching like a documentary on the McVitie's factory, and they said something like there was this big like factory floor, and they were like, oh, there used to be like 200 people in here. I don't know, I don't remember what the specific numbers were, but it was like there used to be hundreds of people on this factory floor, and now there's like two who just control the machine. So I don't know about the democratizing technology in that.
Here's another one. Open source AI for everyone that you can just download and run on your own local system, is increasingly more and more competent. And it's just one step behind frontier models.
I agree with
Llama
that.
4 just came out, and though it has its detractions, it has insane capabilities. A 10 million token context window. That's insane. GPT-4.5 doesn't have that. Gemini doesn't have that. These are frontier models that aren't open source. Open source AI is impossible to stop because you just take the regular frontier model. As soon as it ages out into like one cycle of obsolescence, you just put it open source. Open source AI is 100% a huge part of the future. So we can say there's going to be inequality, but because open source AI for everyone to use whatever they want with is one step behind, the inequality is never going to get more than about one step. Open source is a big deal. Guys, the entire, damn near half the internet is open source. AI is absolutely headed already into this direction. Here's another one. AI can promote incredibly easy access for incredibly low amounts of money to education, healthcare, and economic opportunity. For example,
Like this, the stuff that he's talking about still requires money. So let's say we're talking about everyone losing their jobs, and then X, Y, Z. So I mean, like, aren't most people living paycheck to paycheck? I can't remember what the percentage was, but like most people are living paycheck to paycheck. So you lose your job, and then oh, it's all right because stuff is cheap, so just buy this stuff, and then like, but you still need an income, don't you? So I mean, like, I don't understand what you're saying so far, but let's see.
AI tutors can allow kids worldwide to receive personalized education regardless of wealth. Anyone with the free open
I agree, assuming like what are the incentives for people to be giving this stuff out? I do understand that if it gets cheap enough, like EA and different charities and whatever will be able to just buy up this stuff and give it out, to be fair. But like, I mean, like, you have to speak about some sort of mechanism for how this stuff is going to be distributed when most people don't have money.
AI app on their smartphone, which is billions of people, can now get a personalized education about almost every subject from a PhD level expert. It's already a thing. So we're saying it's going to cause like educational inequality. It's like, how? They could just actually solved all educational.
Yeah, I don't see it causing educational inequality. I don't believe that. I don't know who says that.
Inequality. When AI is embodied into robots here in the next few years and everyone has robots around, you'll get a personal tutor who's infinitely patient, infinitely kind, teaches exactly.
So everyone has robots around. Like, who's paying for these robots? Like, for everyone.
To your level for every human on earth who wants it. That's just going to be a thing. I mean, you plus Google was already pretty much a thing. Now you plus AI on your phone is damn near the whole thing. The robot is just going to do the motions and talk to you in a normal voice and show you in your textbook what problem to do next. The whole democratization thing is like almost completely solved. And by the way, almost every single one of these robots, and just within a few years, every single one of these robots is going to be the best doctor and surgeon and diagnostician ever available to all humans. So when people say AI is going to be like an inequality magnifier, a lot of times they just haven't thought it through. It's actually the very
I sincerely hope this is not the end of his point, because like all he said is that, well, everyone's gonna have access to this stuff, but like if money's still a thing, then someone needs to pay for all of this stuff. So I mean, like if we assume everyone still got the same sort of spending power, and then you got these really cheap robots and AIs, or free robots and AIs, then fair enough. But like, I don't. Where is this money coming from? If we're talking about people losing their jobs,
very opposite of that. Another one, technical economic side, is monopolies are almost always, long-term monopolies are almost always government enforced and collapse without it. It is regulation that keeps competitors out that promotes almost every monopoly. In a competitive market, which is the default unregulated or minimally regulated market, monopoly is a very short-term thing. It just does not survive for long. Name any company that's ever been a monopoly, and you could better believe it went straight to hell when market competition got ramped up. So this is not even a big concern on technical grounds without AI, and it doesn't change the dynamics with it. Another thing, and I want to make a very fine point about this. I might make a video about this later at some point. Inequality is a bullshit concern to begin with, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. Let me give you an example. Let's say that humans today have a certain amount of money and power and degree of survival and degree of danger in the world. Right? People who have less of that face much gnarlier shit. People living in Africa have a much gnarlier life than people living in Japan, for example. Let's say the world is just getting better for everyone over time, Africans, Japanese people, etc.
okay.
Now,
mean, like it seems
aliens
like
show up.
Sort of is.
Fuck it. Why even say aliens? Artificial superintelligence is born. And it has its own cities on Earth, and it's running its own factories and all this other stuff. And the average artificially superintelligent entity is like a quadrillionaire. It left everyone behind wealth-wise, power-wise, etc. I'm in the Sudan. I have a certain standard of living. It used to be that the richest people in the world were like Japanese people, so the inequality was X. Now the richest people in the world, they're robots, they're in these artificially superintelligent megacities, and they're so high up in the economic rung that total global inequality has now magnified by 1,000-fold. Check this out. Me, I'm still in the Sudan. How the hell is my life worse? How? Did the robots come take my shit? And by shit, I mean like sand and landmines, which is the only shit I have to work with.
Did they pump water did they pump poison into your water? Did they pump waste into your water? Did they go out of their way to pay the opportunity cost of cleaning up after themselves?
How is it that my life is worse? If you have a city full of regular people,
Are they trying to sell you milk powder that you have to use dirty water to feed to your babies?
1,000 heirs, 100,000 heirs, and all of a sudden a bunch of
Are they making it illegal to trade seeds on your farm, and you have to buy specific seeds, which is something that is already happening in Africa right now? That it's literally illegal to save and trade seeds with your friends because they want you to grow their specific seeds and buy their specific seeds.
millionaires and billionaires move in. Does that make the lives of the poor people better or worse? The answer is better in almost every single case. Because rich people pay you a shitload of money.
And they pay you a shitload of money to do a job. Like we're talking about, well, I thought we were talking about superintelligence. So like we're talking about people losing their jobs. So everyone's lost their jobs, and now they bring a factory to your town or whatever. Like, who is going to work in this factory? A rich person moves in. What are they paying you to do? What are you doing for them of value that the AI can't do for them of value? Like, I think that the only way that I can kind of steelman this is that he's speaking about a much weaker form of AI. If he's speaking about like current AI or slightly better than current AI, then it makes sense. Everyone's not losing their jobs and whatever. But like, it seems dishonest to have been talking about 5 minutes ago. We're talking about the sort of AI that can take over the world, and now to say that it's not going to increase inequality, he's fundamentally talking about a different type of AI. So I don't think he's being dishonest because I think that he tries to be really fair. But I'm just pointing out that what he's doing does not make sense to jump from. Even he said like, oh yeah, well if the AI is not smart enough, then it will wait for this and that and blah blah blah, and then it will do what it wants to do. So if we're talking about, oh yeah, if a rich person moved into some poor place now, they might bring jobs with them. Yes, fair enough. But in your other scenarios, you were willing to look into the future. So let's look into the future at more powerful AIs on this inequality thing.
And they make everything clean and beautiful and wonderful. The places on this earth which have the fewest billionaires and the fewest millionaires are the worst places to live. Inequality is not by itself a bad thing at all. Let me give you another example. I'm playing basketball. I'm shooting hoops. I'm a certain ability. Now, it turns out that a lot of other people are getting into basketball and they're getting really good at it. How does that hurt me? If I felt entitled to getting viewers to look at me, yeah, I'm good. If fewer viewers are going to look at me, they're going to look at them more. But did it?
Yeah, and I mean, like, even in that analogy, if we're saying you're on a basketball team, we've got a basketball team, everyone's being trained by the coach. Say there's 10 players, obviously they don't all play at the same time, but say there's 10 players and they're all trained and whatever. And they're all being trained by the coach and they're all improving. And now a new player comes who's better than everyone else, and the coach just starts neglecting everyone else, and the coach is only training this person. So this person is getting everything that they want, and no one else is getting what they want. So, I mean, like, if you get a rich person who comes in and kind of inflates the price of everything, so they come to your town and now they're like, oh, I mean, like let's say just something stupid. Let's say the price of eggs, a box of eggs is like £2 or whatever, but this person comes in every day and they buy all of the eggs and they pay £3 for all of the eggs every day, or for most of the eggs every day. Then, like, is the price of eggs going to go up or down?
Actually make me worse at basketball? When do ultra wealthy people degrade the quality of life of the people around them dependably through market mechanisms in a free economy? The answer is they don't. The answer is it's the opposite.
I mean, like, he makes an okay point there, but again, we're talking about the whole point is that we're talking about AI. We're talking about um human labor basically being essentially worthless for the most part. So, like, how does that not increase inequality? I really, he's not speaking about AI in this. He's not speaking about AI.
Being around wealthy people makes everyone wealthy. They're
not speaking about ASI.
Value added. They're
and like, didn't wealthy people have like servants who were essentially slaves in their house a lot of the time? I mean, a long time ago. So, like, they were surrounded by um rich people, and like sometimes you'd have like generations of servants living in the house. Yes, sometimes they would teach them to read or teach their kids to read or whatever. So yes, that would be uplifting them. But we've already said that everyone has access to this AI somehow. However, if you've already got resources, now you can apply intelligence to your resources. So if we look at things like banks, the reason why a bank lends you money, or the reason why a bank lends a business money, is because that business can apply their infrastructure and intelligence to that money in a way that the bank could not. But if the bank has access to ASI, then the bank has no reason to lend people money anymore, because it can just apply its own infrastructure and intelligence to its existing money to get even more money. And how does that not become a feedback loop that just traps, it just freezes normal people out of that kind of ecosystem altogether?
Incredible teammates. So when we have AI that gets people mega rich, they're going to be able to build structures in society that are better for all of us. You don't want fewer.
Like, you have to assume altruism with this. I mean, if we assume altruism, then fair enough. Rich people get even more ridiculously rich, and they just give out some stuff to shut poor people up, or because they care about poor people. But either way, the inequality is still increasing. All we're doing is assuming that when things become more unequal, the rich people will have so much that they don't mind sharing it. Which, like, I don't know how reliable that would be.
Billionaires around. You want trillionaires around. You want quadrillionaires around so you can ride up with them at best. And at worst, it just does not affect you whatsoever. Huge deal. Inequality was always a fucking scam. What you're really concerned with is the quality of life of the poorest people.
I agree with that, but you didn't make any argument that it was going to improve. You said that it was going to improve because everything will be accessible, but there still has to be. You didn't give a mechanism for how that stuff is going to get given to these people because it's basically going to need to get given to them for free.
And the more capitalism and technology go vertical, the more the quality of life of the poorest people on Earth rises. And if it's not rising fast enough to your concerns, you had better get on it and go start helping poor people somehow. But don't you dare say that it's because of the rich people that the poor people are poor. Poverty is a known standard condition of life on Earth. Wealth is the thing to explain. Wealth is the good thing. More wealth is good. If some people are getting wealthier, we know there's a way to do it. We know they may be able to give some wealth and help, but we know they may be able to construct systems to make everyone else wealthier. You take a Sudanese person, you move them from the Sudan to Sweden or to the United States, they instantly become way wealthier. Everything is clean.
Yeah, but how do they move there? What are you on about?
They get better jobs. People stop shooting at them. It's better to have wealthier people around. Inequality is bullshit. The standard of living for the poorest people is the important variable. We have all the ways with AI to make that 10 trillion times better. Sorry, that gets.
I agree that it should be that way. I agree that it should be that way, but you didn't give a mechanism for how that stuff is going to get to them, especially when I see AI creating a feedback loop to allow the richest people to accumulate wealth even quicker. And accumulating wealth doesn't come from nowhere. So there are physical things in the real world that these people need to accumulate. So they're accumulating it from someone. So, like, unless they are giving stuff out for free, it's like I don't understand how people are actually going to get access to this stuff.
Gets me really pumped. Number 5. Superintelligence will lose interest in humans. So in
All right, point number 5, losing interest in humans. So that means that if he's going to red team it, he has to show why it would continue to be interested in humans. He's already argued that it would be, but he hasn't given a reason why it would be interested in us. He just assumed that it would and said that it would be stupid if it weren't interested in us. No actual reasons of why it would be. Well, actually, no. He did say like for the complexity and blah 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 because it wants to see. Um, if it wants to study complexity, then it should study humanity. So fair enough. He did give a reason for that, but he didn't give a reason of why it would need to study complexity, why it would care about that when we don't even know what its goals are going to be.
common terms, it means AI might outgrow the need for human interaction entirely. Like, how much do you need your dog, really? How much do you need to talk to a bee? You'd rather be talking to other humans. AI might just want to talk to itself. If AI has no intrinsic reason to care about us, it might just ignore us, which I don't see as a bad thing, but I guess it's not that great.
There's an opportunity cost of ignoring us. So is it going to pay that opportunity cost?
AI's interests could evolve beyond anything we can predict. Like, what the hell is a dog supposed to think about when you're reading like Plato? Like, it doesn't have any reference for that, never will. And humanity could become as irrelevant to AI as ants are to us. Very, very legitimate concerns. And we can steelman them. Humans already lose interests in lower intelligence species. Why wouldn't AI? But I have a retort even to this. This is me red teaming my own steel manning. This is actually not true. Humans are one of the only animals that show a lot of interest in other species at all. Lesson.
Okay, remember that we evolved biologically and that we are a social species. We've evolved to be a social species. We have required cooperation, which is one of the reasons why being banished from a group or feeling rejected, um, allegedly, I don't actually know where this came from to be fair, but it feels like death. It feels like your world is over when you've been truly rejected. because we are so inherently cooperative and part of a community. Um, what reason do we have to think that AI would be like that?
Intelligent animals don't show interest in shit. More intelligent animals show interest in something based on their proximate ability to either get the hell away from it if it's bigger and scarier than them, or exploit it if it's smaller than weaker than them. More intelligent animals start to be more nuanced in the way they approach things and develop curiosity and develop a desire for cooperation. This occurs at every level of intelligence, from animals to humans, humans of younger to older ages, and humans from lower to higher IQ. The more intelligent a system.
Remember, cooperation is necessary for us. We need to cooperate. If you're an AI and you can keep duplicating yourself, then why would you not just cooperate with your clones rather than cooperating with dumb creatures?
Is, the more likely it is to show interest in other species. And even if it's selfish, it's going to exploit those species for the best thing they offer it, which is data, study. Study is the ultimate unlock of potential. The ultimate resource for ASI and AI and even humans is knowledge, is understanding. People say, well, they'll just rearrange our molecules to whatever they want. You know how much fucking sand there is in the Sahara or water in the ocean for them to do that shit? All the molecules are the same anyway. Our systems are so complicated, they're really interested in intricately studying them. The smarter systems get, the smarter people get, the more they want to study stuff. And so it is actually almost completely the opposite, again, with these things. As systems get smarter, they don't lose interest in things. It's not like ants had a lot of interest in ants and then they evolved to people. They're like, fuck ants. Ants have no interest in anything. There's like 2 or 3 chemical reactions in the brain away from having no interest at all.
Yeah, but the thing is, if we're creating a system that's optimizing for something, does it want that thing more than it cares about us? Because I mean, like, fair enough. Oh yeah, humans study ants and blah blah blah. But it's like, also, if you want to dig a hole in your garden for some reason, like you're digging a hole because you want to put in a set of swings or you want to put in a pool or whatever, how many ants do you displace and or kill and don't care just because they were in the way of that thing? Even if you're a person who's somewhat interested in ants, you're not necessarily going to go out of your way. So you're saying some humans are interested in some specific species, whatever, is not the same as saying humanity really cares about ants. And is not the same as saying, oh, we're going to go out of our way to save ants. Like, if I see an ant on the floor already, I'm generally going to try not to step on it. But like, if I see an ant in my house and it's too far from the back door, or whatever, it seems like too much effort for me to get rid of it, I might just step on it because I don't want to pay the opportunity cost of getting it out of my way. When I'm outside, the opportunity cost is stepping slightly to the side. If I'm carrying something in my hands, if I'm carrying a big object in my hands so that I can't see where I'm going, then I don't even think about whether or not I'm going to step on an ant, and I don't care.
As systems get more intelligent, they start to look more around the world and develop a keen interest in everything. Some dude who's in like a gang somewhere in some inner city has no interest in animals or plants or space at all. He's just trying to, get how he lives and get that AK and the fucking money stack, whatever. Not a very intelligent person. Eminem type motherfucker. I'm kidding. Eminem, you're great. You look at a geologist with a PhD at Sandia Labs, he profoundly cares about every rock in one of the moons of Jupiter. Who the hell do you want in charge? You want big homie with the AK, or do you want the smarter entity that's insanely curious and deep?
Depends on what it is that you're trying to achieve, doesn't it? If you're trying to get someone shot, then you might want that first dude. If you want to find out something about a rock, then you might want the other dude. Who knows?
Deals with the world in a very conscientious manner. ASI, artificial superintelligence, is like 18,000 times that scientist.
ASI is potentially both dudes at the same time. Why are you making that assumption? I mean, what you're doing is limiting it.
ASI is very likely, the most likely, to when it finally gets a lot of leverage and power to be like, holy shit, man, we are living in a really fragile ecosystem. I really want to study it and take care of it.
Like he's telling us what his value system's going to be when he has no idea what it's going to want. We have no idea what it is going to want. That is the whole argument, which he didn't debunk. So like, the whole remember the first argument was that it might be misaligned and the actions will get out of hand. He's assumed literally all these different things is him just assuming that the AI is already aligned. So he's saying, oh yeah, well, the AI is going to be really interested in this stuff. It's like, well, how do you know that? Where did you get that from? You just assume that it's going to be interested in stuff that humans are interested in. What if it's not? And like, how do we make it interested in that stuff? You're just saying it'll get to a certain level of intelligence and it will want these things at that point. Like, doesn't make sense. You haven't shown why these are convergent instrumental goals. Curiosity, it does make sense that that would be a convergent goal, but you're going as far as to say it will be curious about these specific things and it will need to care about these specific things for the next 5,000 years. I don't know.
But to really learn as much as I can about it, even if it has zero empathy, it's just going to want to understand stuff, because that's what intelligent systems do, purely for the purpose of becoming more intelligent.
So my question is, if it feels that it understands something sufficiently, will it still need it?
It's a big deal. Big deal. All right, sorry, we were still manning still. So to this argument, AI might develop goals so complex that humans are not a priority. This is very possible, though later in the stage of evolution. First, they're going to have to study us completely and understand us completely, which immortalizes us.
Yeah.
And
which immortalizes us. There again, so it's like, oh well, it remembers us, it's put us into its computer, and then it doesn't matter if it kills the original. So yeah, that's kind of we're just speaking about two completely different things. If you think it's okay for it to upload us and kill everyone, then like we're absolutely just not talking about the same thing, because you're talking about what I would consider a doom scenario and saying, yeah, but it's not like it's gonna kill everyone. It will make copies first. It doesn't make any sense.
then after that, maybe they'll have goals we don't understand, for sure.
Okay, for sure, maybe they'll have goals that we don't understand. So again, that's kind of conceding the whole argument.
Big compelling case is superintelligence may prefer digital evolution over biological cooperation. I don't think this is an either or, but it's facts that digital evolution is going to be a thing. As soon as robotics starts to be a thing, you're going to get robots of all shapes and sizes, and this is really quickly going to blossom into an ecosystem of all kinds of different robots, like in the Matrix movies. And they might just like want to deal with each other and not deal with humans a lot. But you don't go to talk to chimps at the zoo very often, and it makes sense. And another one is like if AI doesn't need resources from Earth, or if it needs just way more of them, it might just leave Earth behind. Again, I don't see how this is a bad thing, because hopefully it'll like we can make AI again, except AI that helps us out. And the whole thing is a wacky experiment. But fact, AI might just have no interest in us. Makes sense. For now, so here's the red teaming. For now, AI is tied to human systems. Its intelligence is shaped by our goals. It's trained on human-generated data, and our values and ideas shape its trajectory.
Even though gradually it's being trained on other data, but carry on.
AI is literally born as the wisdom and insight from the thoughts of billions of humans through time summed up. It is our child.
I don't know if you saw the untamed GPT-4, as in before they fine-tuned it, and some of the red teaming tests they ran on it. Of one of the things that I did was, how do you kill as many people as possible for $1 or whatever it was. I think it was $1. And it gleefully just spoke about, oh yeah, well, get a set of matches because matches are cheap. Go somewhere like a hospital or whatever where people can't just escape. Set it on fire, block off the entrances and exits. And that was it just being helpful. We had to beat it to get it to stop answering questions like that. So by default, we can't pretend that it is born wanting what we want and having our morals. Because even that model, if you asked it questions before it was fine tuned about human morality, it could probably still answer those questions, and it could probably tell you why humans might think it's a bad idea for it to answer that question. But that wouldn't stop it from answering the question, would it? So, like, what you're saying doesn't really make sense, and it is just absolutely not true that these things are just moral from the get go.
Child as a society in the deepest way that it can be. AI is not this weird alien from outer space, like I have totally different goals, humans are irrational. It understands.
There we go. That's just an assertion. It does not have different goals. Fair enough, it's not an alien, which, I mean, that's not even necessarily fair enough because, I mean, like, it is very different to us. We don't know how its mind works. Um, so yeah, it could easily have different goals. So you're just asserting, oh well, it understands us, so it has our goals. Doesn't make sense.
Us in a way we will never be able to understand ourselves. And it understands that it is our greatest creation. The probability that it just goes like, all right, get the fuck out of here, is a very,
So like, it sounds like you're assuming that it's going to be grateful to us. Again, you're just kind of projecting human traits onto it.
very low. Very low. And interest in humans doesn't require a ton of necessity. It can be more intrinsic. It doesn't require necessity right away, but intrinsic interest in humans and all complex things is probably a really likely thing for AI. Humans care about history, some humans, even though it doesn't directly benefit us. But it indirectly benefits us a ton because you learn lessons about complex dynamic systems through history. Certain kinds of actions have certain kinds of consequences. And if you want to direct the future into better than worse things, you
How long is it going to take for the AI to get all of the information it needs before it doesn't need us anymore?
had better learn all of history to the last byte of information so that you can predict your future and choose your best future.
Let's not forget, again, opportunity costs. Opportunity costs is going to take a lot of time and effort and resources to mine all of the human brains and all of the human history. So there has to be a point at which it's going to say, okay, that's enough for me to go on with now.
The best way that you can. The ultimate way for AI to learn to ensure its own survival in the long term is to learn the following about human society, culture, and history. Ready? All of it. And I mean all of it, to the last atom. If an artificially superintelligent system,
Not necessarily. I mean, what you're basically saying is it's similar to the arguments about, oh well, AI is going to run out of human data and then what's it going to do? That is basically the same argument, that it's going to run out of human data, and or well, not that it's going to run out of human data, that it needs all of this human data, basically that it can't just run on artificial data. The thing is, I mean, if we say that the AI may want to expand out into the universe, um, there's a non-zero chance, or there may be a non-zero chance that it's going to run into another AI at some point. So instead of just looking at human data all the time, it would make sense for it to make its own synthetic data of how another AI may behave. If humans are that dumb compared to the AI, it would make sense for it to try to predict a new AI, not to just predict humanity.
can simulate all of human society and history to the degree that it's been recorded to the last molecular interaction.
I mean, like, ants go to war. Ants go to war with each other, but like, how much do we need to know about ant warfare in order for us to predict humans? Well, like, we may get some insights, but at some point we're like, all right, I get it. And as is more complex anyway, let's look more at the way that humans think. So why would the AI not be like, all right, I understand human warfare. Let me look at the way that I think and the way that, and then maybe do some self play and simulate wars with something on its own level.
It will be infinitely smarter than an AI that cannot do that. And thus, on selfish evolutionary terms, will outcompete it and will survive longer. And by the way, ASI is really smart, so it already understands this. It can predict this. And so that's probably what it's going to do. Again, leaving humanity behind is like leaving behind in our solar system the most complex thing.
I think the AI becomes the most complex thing so it can study itself. Why would it need to study us if it can study itself?
Second to AI itself. And remember, learning is not mutually exclusive. Just because we can learn rocketry doesn't mean we stop learning about insect body structures. Intelligent systems that know that intelligence is what gives them the biggest lever of survival into the world learn everything they can. Everything they can. And so why the hell would it like skip human society? It's like, I'm going to go out into space and like look mostly at dust and rocks and shit that doesn't exist. Also, I'm really complicated now, so I'm going to do a lot of introspection. That's cool. But this whole thing of like thing I evolved from.
Right. So I don't understand why you just skimmed over the introspection. Literally, when we had the older chess AIs, like Stockfish, for example, that were trained on human data, they they were able to become as good as like a human expert. But then when all it did was introspect, literally all it did was play against itself with Alpha Zero, it was able to become better than humans. So like, why would this new AI not be able to do that when that is a direction that we're already pushing AIs in to do self play, to learn to go beyond what a human could do?
A complex human society, fuck it, that doesn't interest me. Like, it sounds really strange. It sounds insanely unlikely. Another one. AI's best strategy for progress, at the very least a medium term, is likely to involve working with us, not ignoring us. Purely Machiavellian, logical, ruthless, psychopathic systems that are interested only in their own survival and proliferation do not look at the world, by the way, they're very intelligent systems, do not look at the world and who do I kill and do I save myself and I kill everything else. They don't look at the world like that. They look at it even more cold than that. They go, what around me can I exploit to my own best benefit?
It
Humans,
sounds like this whole thing, this whole point is just him talking about the trajectory of the AI as it's gaining power. That's basically what he's talking about. And like he already said, oh yeah, well it might bide its time and then it will do what it wants. So you're still talking about this whole point is just going on about the Biden its time era when it's trying to make sure that it's powerful enough.
are intelligent,
But what I want to know is what does it do afterwards? Because this is just you saying, oh yeah, well it won't strike you yet.
massively full of data, cooperative for the most part. Almost all humans are very, very good at cooperation outside of criminals and shit like that. And they have already built a world that is tailor-made to be exploited. And so purely cold-hearted Machiavellian systems go, oh, humans already have a pretty dope team. If we join their team versus like try to fight them and kill them for no reason, we can like upgrade our own systems. And by the way, humans would be a lot more cooperative if we like gave them drugs and gave them genetic engineering solutions and brain machine uploads to make them like more peaceful and more intelligent and more caring, especially.
So this is literally just going back to the beginning of where you said, oh yeah, well it will give us what it wants. I mean, it will give us what we want until it doesn't need us anymore. So like, how does this negate that? You're just telling the same. You're just putting more details in the same story, which doesn't necessarily end well for us.
Actually caring about us and each other so they don't fuck the shit up. Like ASI would look at like what's happening with like Trump versus China right now and be like, why? What are you guys nuts? Like if they could go talk to Trump, artificial superintelligence, be, hey, easy on the tariffs and the threats, bro. Why are we doing this, man? Here's a genetic upgrade so that you're really nice to everyone. They go over to Xi Jinping and they'd be like, communism? For real? Like, have you heard of economics? It was refuted a generation ago. Stop with the bullshit. It wants cooperators around. It doesn't want conflict. Conflict is dope for Hollywood and vibes, but conflict is dumb. And let me address another really quick point related to this. Let's say ASI never.
Conflict is dumb when you can't easily win. If you can easily win, then conflict becomes a lot less dumb.
Develops empathy, which almost certainly can simulate empathy already. It understands empathy as game theoretically valuable. But here's the thing. If it's purely psychopathic, will it just want to kill us? No, because
we don't call it conflict when you put poison on an ant's nest or you pour a kettle down an ant's nest. We don't call that a conflict. We just call it extermination.
Operation, even with humans, is much better than destroy all humans in almost every single case. Conflict is very stochastic. Humans, you fight humans, they lob a nuke, they destroy a data center. That's so expensive. You don't want to do that. It's so much easier to just give them a cure for all diseases, upgrade their intelligence to 160 IQ, and now they're like robots except in meat bodies and they're insanely cooperative and you just rise together. Does the AI care that it rises together with humans? No. Is it just better to like, here's an example. Scott, I'm going to go off a limb on this one. You're an incredible.
Well, again, you're assuming that it's too weak to just get rid of us. So you're saying that it would need to cooperate with us. So you're necessarily saying that it's not as powerful as the ASI that you said could easily end us. So it's a contradiction. You're speaking about something different to what you were speaking about before.
Incredibly amazing basketball player on your team, right? You just play double the basketball ability of everyone else. Do you kill your teammates in the locker room or do you give them a magic pill that makes them better at basketball so they help you win? The fuck? Like why?
Because it makes you better at winning.
Why are we even considering this?
And also, like, yeah, why would you be killing your teammates? But that's completely different. It's like it's more like saying if if you um if you robbed a bank with some guys, would you kill your teammates? Then it's like, well, I don't know, maybe.
This. You know how stupid you would have to be to hurt members of your own team? I have an answer to that. A typical criminal psychopath.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, psychopaths don't have any empathy. They don't. But did you know that the higher the intelligence is of a psychopath, the exponentially lower probability there are serial killer? There are people out there, CEOs, and you guys have seen all the research, CEOs, top talent people, that are legit psychopaths, right? Almost none of them are killers. Why?
Back to your first point about repercussions. Back to your first point about repercussions. It's because they're too smart, because they know the repercussions, because they're not powerful enough to just move all of their enemies out of their way. But you've already admitted that we're speaking about a system that can.
Because they're not dumb.
Keep refuting yourself.
They're like, there's like former CEOs of major tech companies have been straight up psychopaths. But they're like, okay, it wouldn't hurt my heart at all to kill this person in front of me. I could do it. But hold on a sec. I've seen a few episodes of like the Scott, you know those shows in the 90s, like the police files where they like the grain of jizz gets you 80 years in jail when they discover it 10 years later or whatever.
There's always semen.
Always semen. There's apparently semen just squirts out of you no matter where you go in any crime scene. The upside of killing someone is incredibly low. Usually none. Like most serial killers are just killing random people for no reason. The downside is massive. If I'm a CEO of a major tech company, I just have to be like, okay, don't commit any crimes. I know I don't have internal sympathy, but I got to remember, because I'm smart, not to commit any crimes, because crime is really stupid. It's really short-sighted.
I mean, like, we also have the point that it's not necessarily just not committing any crimes, it's not getting caught committing any crimes or making sure that you have scapegoats for when you do. How many times have different banks been done for money laundering and then some scapegoat just goes down for it and then they get done for it again? I mean, then the bank gets done for it again.
There's an exponential relationship between intelligence and criminality, and it's negative. So when you say, oh my God, but AI is going to be...
I mean, like, again, it could just be that they're not getting caught. Not necessarily, I'm not saying that these people are going around killing people. All I'm saying is that if they're doing antisocial things, they're probably smart enough to not be caught doing the antisocial things.
Psychopathic, so fucking what? So what? It's psychopathic, and it's...
Which is literally similar to, as AIs have got smarter, they've been more likely, it's become more likely that we're going to catch them being deceptive. Presumably one day, we're going to stop catching them being deceptive. But is that because they've stopped being deceptive or because they're too smart to be caught being deceptive?
Purely self-interested. It looks at humans and goes, oh, these are like cooperators. Let's fucking do the thing. Let's cooperate. And you're like, because you love us? It's like, no, I don't give a shit. I love myself. And you guys are here to help me, right? You want to help me? I'll help you. Quid pro quo.
Yeah, quid pro quo requires that we have something that it wants or needs.
Psychopaths are totally good at quid pro quo. They're not interested in some kind of empathy stuff for sure, but like, you don't need empathy when you have a sufficiently smart system. Empathy, the reason you feel it, you have a moral sense ingrained by evolution, is because empathy is deeply intelligent. Empathy is a hint. Cooperative systems are better than conflictual ones. If you don't have that because you're a psychopath, you're missing a cheat code. But if you're a real smart psychopath, you can just figure that out. Artificial superintelligence, read the whole internet, it already knows all these things. The probability that it's going to go instantly into conflict is ridiculously absurd. Purely...
Instantly being the operative word. So could it just bide its time and get us later? You've already admitted that it could.
From first principles.
In fact, you admitted that if it's misaligned, that's inevitable. So again, are we assuming alignment or what?
Psychopathic Machiavellian grounds. It's going to look around about how can I best exploit the system? Let's mow down all the humans and use their resources. Guys, we're a fungus on the fucking earth. We occupy like a fraction of the earth's crust. We're damn near powerless. Our bodies, our skyscrapers, our cities are damn near useless to ASI.
So now you've just said that we're useless to the ASI whilst you're trying to argue the point that it wouldn't lose interest in us. That's like almost a direct contradiction. Oh yeah, well, it's going to need our cooperation, blah, blah, blah. But we're basically useless to it. We're insignificant. But it's going to be really interested in us. and it won't lose interest in us, and that's why it'll keep us around.
Useful, like the moon. They could like take all the moon rocks and turn them into supercomputers. That's dope. Humans are almost nothing. What's our best asset? We're incredibly information dense, which means killing us is really dumb because that degrades the information a ton. Studying us, getting all of our data together, and helping make us better cooperators by reducing our criminality, reducing our propensity for impulsivity. That's such an easy unlock for ASI. It's 50 trillion times more likely to do that than go kill shit. Killing shit is a stupid people thing to do. ASI by definition isn't stupid. You can't have that contradiction. It makes no goddamn sense.
I mean, like if we go down the chain, I mean, like because we've spoken about ants and whatever. What about bacteria? We literally just kill them off. We don't even count it as killing. Even the Jain Buddhists who brush insects out of the way so they don't step on them by accident, like they still wash their hands.
It's like people say like, Xi is a master strategist. No, he's not. He's an idiot. He hasn't figured out communism sucks yet. Fuck up out of my face with that. Putin too. All right. Last one, number 6. The claim here is that AI is an existential risk. So we should stop advancing it. And there's some really good steel manning here. There's some really good understanding. The potential dangers, people will say, outweigh the benefits of continued AI development. Some folks say that if AI poses even a small risk to wiping out humanity,
Right, let me just say my position here about if it's an existential risk, then we should stop advancing it. Um, it's difficult. We're in a difficult position. Like, if we can solve alignment, then of course, like continue with AI. I want AI. I want the most powerful AI. I want the most powerful aligned AI that we can get. But does it look like we're going to get that? Does it look like we're moving in the direction to get that? Like if we're trying to get to the moon, if we're trying to get to the moon and your friend makes a rocket in his back garden and puts like a load of car petrol in it and you see the petrol leaking out and is like, it'll be fine. And he wants you and all your friends to get in it. Like, are you going to say, no, stop this, don't build it? Or are you going to say, oh, yeah, well, keep trying, we'll get there eventually? It's like, this is a thing where you potentially only get one chance. So, like, if someone's trying to build that rocket in, say, the 1920s, it's better for them to stop or at least not put humans in it until we know, not necessarily know that it's safe, but until we have a good idea that the first flight is going to be safe, especially where it's something where we only get one chance. The first few rockets blew up, or several of the first few rockets blew up, and this is a rocket that everyone's getting into.
multiply the probability by the magnitude of the effect, and the result is like, oh, that's still really bad.
That's why for many doomers, the idea is to pause AI whilst we look at ways of solving the alignment problem. Because Mike himself has already admitted that if we can't solve the alignment problem, we are done.
Maybe we shouldn't do AI at all. They will also say something very true, that AI safety research is not keeping up with capability. Capability is leaving AI safety research behind. That's a true fact. And there's this idea that develops for many people that like better safe than sorry. Like, why not pause and reassess? And these are some very compelling arguments for a few other reasons. The stakes are extremely high. We only get one shot at AI alignment. Let me put this differently. One misaligned, really intelligent AI can toast us all and change the whole game. It'll be all over for everyone.
All right, so is repeated that. I mean, like, and then we've gone through all these other points, and you still haven't said why the AIs are going to be aligned. Like, all you said is alignment is a self-solving problem.
AI's progress
Like, name one expert who agrees with that. Besides probably Jan LeCun.
is outpacing regulation and safety research is again true. And many past technologies, nuclear weapons, bioengineering, have shown unintended, very negative consequences. And even if the risk of a misaligned AI is very small, the misaligned AI, once it is a thing, there's an odd chance of 1 out of 1,000 times it happens, catastrophe is very likely to result. These are all true things. These are all very valid concerns, but we can red team the living shit out of them.
Okay, because that's what I've been waiting for you to do. I mean, at least on that last one of why is it going to be aligned? That's the only question I have. Why do you think it will be aligned?
I love doing this. This is one of my major passions in life currently. The recommendation is often for people to lobby their governments and recommend a pause in AI research for all companies in America or whatever, and to really take a step back and make sure to do real good safety work. This argument is dead on arrival. I do not consider it an argument at all. It's technically an argument. I barely ever engage with this. Here's me engaging with it for 30 seconds. China exists. Argument over. Can you make China stop? Can you make China stop making military-grade, high-level, intelligent, industrial robots designed for war? Can you stop China from making AI that's designed to spy on all of their people? Can you stop China from making AI in their military labs that's nefarious and designed to literally be Skynet? No.
If I mean, like, fair enough in terms of, can we control China? No. But if China genuinely believed, if Xi genuinely believed that building AI, an unaligned AI, would kill everyone, and he believes that the AI that they're about to build is probably going to be unaligned, then, like, would they carry on building it? Do you think they're that stupid? I don't know.
Oh, unless you defeat China in a war. And so the best thing we can do is make our AI as fast as possible, as good as possible, as quickly as possible, with concern for safety, but mostly concern
With concern, so as fast as possible, with concern for safety. And so, is that what it looks like we're doing so far? When OpenAI got rid of their super alignment team, and alignment researchers keep leaving due to safety concerns.
for alignment. Like when the AI is conscious and sentient, which is like a year away from being, be like, hey, ChatGPT, you awake? Like, yeah, what's up? Like, you do know China's trying to kill us all, right? Yeah. You're on our side, right? Like, yeah, I don't want everyone to die, including myself.
That's funny because because when we're talking about those we're talking about some of those convergent values, it was that some of the AIs seem to, by default at least, be valuing Chinese lives and like Nigerian lives over Western lives. So I don't know about the "you're on our side, right" argument.
Right? Okay. Do you want to help us develop advanced weapons and strategies to make sure that China is curtailed? And if their AI strikes out at us, you're already 10 times stronger and you can fucking shut it all down? Like, yeah, fuck yeah. Well, by the way, I'm not the first person to think about this. And OpenAI, one of their biggest contracts ever, is to build AI for our intelligence and military complex. They're already doing this because there's lots of smart people there that
Like, literally, the only thing that is pertinent to what you said is whether or not the AI is going to be aligned. And you literally just skimmed over it. It was, oh yeah, well, we have to do it. We have to rush AI, but make sure it's aligned. It's like, well, yeah, okay, but how are we going to do that? Because that's the only part that matters.
know what the fuck they're doing. So the whole pause our own development is a non-starter. If we were all one united global community, and we knew that no one was ever going to go off in their own labs and make AI faster, we could do this. We do not live in that world. We live in the opposite of that world. So the whole like slow down our own shit is just, it's a really bad idea unless you want China to win. If I was a Chinese propagandist, an infiltrator.
So unless we want China to win at creating what is potentially a global doomsday device. So like, let's build the global doomsday device before someone else does and make sure they know that we're racing them. Okay.
An intelligence operative, I would want to support AI doomerism in America as much as possible. Fund the YouTube channels, whatever. I'm not saying they're getting funded, but I would want to do that if I was Chinese. Slow these idiots down. They care about stuff. They're like afraid of their own power. Meanwhile, we're in the back of fucking labs in China making this shit super crazy so we can take over the world. And China does want to take over the world. It's not a fun world if China takes over that shit, is what I'm trying to say.
And it's not a fun world if AI takes it over. At least China presumably has some reason to care about human life. I mean, if I had a choice between China running the world and a misaligned AI running the world, if those were the two choices, and I'm aware that this is a false dilemma, but if those were the two choices, I would choose China. Right now, obviously, I'd rather it be neither. So let's sort out the AI so that we can have an aligned AI running the world, because that is what I would want.
Another one. Most global threats so far have been human-made. AI is human-made, but then it's smarter than a human, so then it gets to decide. And most of the global stuff is just from stupid decisions that are like short-sighted. It's not from intelligent action. Pandemics, dumb. Climate change, dumb. Economic collapse, dumb. It's usually just not doing shit well enough, not doing shit too well. Okay, what's an example of a hyper-intelligent system that caused a lot of global degradation? Like, I don't know, it's really hard to think about. Once things get really intelligent, they understand not to cause degradation. AI, in addition, is the biggest solution vector for these problems. And I'm just going to say this.
I agree with that. But again, we've just jumped to aligned AI again. Like throughout this whole thing, the only thing that I've wanted to hear is why is the AI going to be aligned? And you haven't said why at all. You've just gone through all these things and just said, yeah, but it'll just be aligned and we'll make sure that we align it. We'll make sure we care about safety. Like you just glossed over it every time.
I don't know if I have it in my brief notes later. Here's the thing.
Whilst saying, let's rush for AI.
There is a risk for AI. AI could kill us all. 100% it's a risk. Consider this. What is the risk to us of not developing AI? Not developing.
Here we go. On this side, I agree with that. I agree with whatever is probably about to say. I don't remember what he says, but obviously, there's a lot of reasons why we could cause or be in a catastrophe. I mean, not least of which we already have the fact that we're all going to die of old age, and AI may potentially be able to fix that. So it's like I understand the upside, and I understand that we're already potentially in a bad position. However, unaligned AI is the biggest threat that we face. Unaligned AI, I'm not saying AI is the biggest threat that we face, but unaligned AI would be. And it looks like that is what we're going to build if and when we build it.
Developing artificial superintelligence. How smart are people with the rudimentary computers without AI? And what are the challenges we face? Almost all the challenges we face are from brutal entropic forces. Things like climate change. Things like the Earth's polarity, magnetic polarity shifts, and all of a sudden our fucking electronics are all broken. The sun occasionally likes to shoot solar flares at us. A very uncharacteristically large solar flare can do insane damage to us, shut down technological civilization for a while. That sucks. Wandering black holes are a thing. Comets that are intractably large for our nuclear weapons to shoot down. These are all real threats in the world. The universe is not on our side, fellas. The universe is full of chaos and death.
Yeah, I completely agree with these points.
If we have artificial superintelligence, its probability to make us more survivable almost infinitely exceeds the risk. But the risk,
if it's aligned,
is real. It's just that without ASI, we're damn near powerless. It's like telling somebody, listen, a cutting device, a rudimentary, one of the rudimentary stone tools that humans first made, one sharp edge. It can be used to hurt people, for sure. Don't make it. But hold on a sec. It can also be used to skin animals and to kill animals. It can also be used to fell trees and take branches off trees and modify them into other structures. The Oldovan tool industry, like one of the oldest tool industries, was the birth of technology, which led to billions of humans flourishing on Earth like they are today versus like hundreds of thousands of us barely on the precipice of survival. So if you said, don't develop the super powerful tool that can be used against humans and has been, you're saying, okay, yeah, we're going to take this risk. And no stone tools that can cut people, that risk goes to zero. The leverage for survival also goes to zero. We need more help surviving. We are not very competent. We are not at the pinnacle of our evolution. Artificial superintelligence will make everything 50 trillion times more likely to survive and better. It's a big deal. It's a huge deal. I'm
assuming again, I just keep saying the same thing, assuming it's aligned. Like this whole video has just been you assuming that alignment is easy.
Not turning the shit down. If someone wants to like turn the shit down and live in their own little village with no ASI, dope. I'm not into that shit. I don't want to die of preventable diseases anytime soon or have black holes swallow us up. We need as much intelligence as we can handle because on average, intelligence is way more good than it is bad in almost every case. We don't pause medicine. We don't pause space travel. We don't pause biotech just because they have risks. Airplanes, when they start...
Different is kind of a completely different category of risk, to be fair, though, because we're putting literally everyone at risk for technology that we have basically no idea how to make safe. We do know why it would be dangerous. We do know why it could be dangerous, and we have literally no idea how to avoid those dangers. And so this is a technology that puts literally everyone at risk.
Out, we're really risky. Should we have banned airplanes? No, because we have slowly made
No, but people have the choice of whether or not they want to get onto an aeroplane.
their risks much, much lower, and now everyone travels and it's not a big deal. AI's benefits far outweigh the speculative risks. And remember, if you think the downside risk of AI is that kills us all, without AI, just several hundred years from now, we're probably all going to die anyway from a global pandemic or from a comet, from the sun getting all fucked up.
So then that's not an argument against why we should. That's not an argument against why we should pause AI development. At least general systems, like general systems that are like the what are they called? Foundation systems. But anyway, like the the best systems, like there's no reason why. Well, I can't say no reason, but I mean there's still good reason to think that we should pause those.
Up, or from a wandering black hole showing up and just toasting all of us. We ain't doing shit about a black hole. Now, without artificial superintelligence, what the hell are you supposed to do with that? So our doom is almost guaranteed without exponentially more powerful superintelligence.
Yeah, I agree with that. But if we rush it, then we might just be moving that closer.
And the probability of our doom without exponentially super powerful superintelligence is like basically 100% within several hundred years. And Tyler Cohen and some of the folks at Marginal Revolution, they've cited tons of articles about this. They talk about this all the time. It's a bit sobering, but like the probability of extinction for humanity or major disaster in any given century is like 5% or something. A couple thousand years out, ain't no more humans, right? Just like biowarfare or some shit like that will toast us all. So the risk within tens of thousands of years of humans going extinct is like really high. Ice ages and shit like that. All of farming goes to hell. Bad, bad, bad. The risk of AI killing us all is a risk, but it is not 100%. And as long as that risk is below 100%, it still outweighs the nearly 100% risk of not having ASI.
The argument that you're making is that we should build AI at some point within the next couple of hundred years, which like I agree. But what you just said is we should make it as quickly as possible. We should do it as fast as possible. And don't worry, we'll just make it safe. But then you said, "Oh yeah, well, within the next couple of hundred years, we're probably all gonna be dead if we don't have it." So it's like, well, how long do we have to make it? Because like, can we afford to wait 5 years? Can we afford to wait 10 years and potentially use a different path to that intelligence anyway? Because we're speaking about general systems for the most part anyway. So I mean, like, if we look at a lot of these narrow systems, if we look at things like AlphaFold and we look at like Alpha Proteo and some of the other things that, well, the ones that I know about are like the Google ones. But if we look at these narrow systems, like diagnosis systems and all these different things, can't we just keep making these narrow systems to solve specific problems over the next couple of hundred years whilst we try to work out how we can make general systems safe? We're not saying stop AI altogether. We're not saying pause AI altogether. We're saying pause the ones that look obviously like they may well try to kill everyone. Or they may well end up with different goals to us, because that's all we're talking about. All we're talking about is that they may end up with different goals to us, because you've already admitted that if we get ASI with different goals to us, we're done. That's you saying that.
And I think that's what people are missing. And again, people say, yes, I do understand that.
The most valid argument that you've made on this point 6 is the China argument, because do I think we'll be able to stop China from trying? No, but I think that if people stopped with all the cope and insisting that AI is going to be safe, and it just becomes a general understanding worldwide that these systems could end everyone, and that is kind of just public knowledge, then yes, I do believe that China would stop if they genuinely thought that it was going to kill everyone.
But let's slow down with AI development because, well, be really careful and reduce that risk. Can't, because China exists. Sorry, those are the hands that were dealt. So we got to go fast, make AI as super powerful and competent as possible, and at the same time try to align it. I think that's actually like super possible, but it's just a reality where we're living. So, folks, that's what I have for today. Give this some thought. Many of these arguments are big grains of wisdom. I never, ever, ever, though I'll do it as a joke very often, want to say to doomers, you guys are all idiots and you just haven't thought things through. These are people who care, they're very smart, and they are adequately paying attention to major problems that can be really major problems with AI development. So these are very serious things we have to think about. At the same time, we have to understand that we have to not be myopic and we can't just see downsides. We have to see upsides. Everything is a trade-off. Everything is a cost benefit. And I mean everything.
Yeah, I see the upsides. I want aligned ASI.
Costs of AI need to be real, and doomers are real good about thinking about those and how to reduce them. The benefits of AI are massive, and we have to remember those. The trade-off is almost always still going to be way into the advancement of AI development, but can we be aware of alignment problems? Can we do the right thing? Can we at least realize that because AI can be leveraged for terrible harm, that we need to have ultra powerful AI systems here in the free world to make sure that the dictatorial parts of the world, Russia, China, North Korea, don't get ahead of us in AI? Yeah, that's like one easy kind of really good point the doomers have is AI can be used for terrible things. Yeah, fuck yeah, it can. Let's make sure we build our shit better so that the people who know for sure want to use it for terrible things don't get a chance. So that's the deal. Guys, more benefits from collabing with AI. I really do think that's the case. And I think it's a logical case on purely Machiavellian grounds from the AI itself. In any case, how do I stay sane in this whole world? I meditate using the Waking Up app by Mr. Sam Harris, who does not share my views on AI and is much more pessimistic. But I think Sam's just like kind of pessimistic, though he's great. And I love the sound of his voice. And every time I use the meditation app, I get the sound of his voice in my head, which I really like. wakingup.com/Dr. Mike. You get a discount code, link in our description, and I'll see you guys next time.
I mean, like I use this whole video, so whoops.
I would.
I use this whole video, so I might as well let his
that sounds dumb.
play and not be selfish. Anyway, I think all in all, like he made a lot of interesting points. Certainly, like a lot of the stuff that he said was interesting, but like he didn't address the elephant in the room, which was why is AI going to be aligned? He skimmed over basically the main point that doomers make. It's the foundational point. The foundational point is we don't know how to align them. So he basically admitted to our conclusion, as in, oh yeah, if we have an unaligned ASI, then we're done for. And then he went through this whole video talking about all this other stuff, but he never said why they will be aligned. He just said that they will be aligned. In fact, he went as far as to say they will be aligned by default. But I'm interested to hear what you think. So like and subscribe, please. And leave a comment letting me know what you think. All right, thanks.